Chapter 547. Non-Smiler. Cloud Midnight muttered the name. He had complicated feelings for this person. Back in the parallel world, the two of them were hot-blooded brothers who had played a few games together. At that time, they would at most go into the live chat channel and shout a few times. This was a more indirect way of communication, so Cloud Midnight had a good impression of this person. Yun Jongmu also knew a little about the matter between Non-Smiler and Chiyue, but he had always considered himself a man, and believed that he had no reason to interfere with the young couple's long-winded affairs. In addition, he trusted his brother, so he didn't ask too much about it. After entering the parallel world, they maintained their previous relationship. They had added each other as friends a long time ago, but at that time, they were completely clueless about the world. They were in different cities and didn't know how they would meet, so they could only mix around. In the end, the situation for both sides was quite dramatic. At first, Non-Smiler was in the core position of the #1 guild in Cloud City, which was quite glorious. On Cloud Midnight's side, it was during the period when Silvermoon led Dusk Guild to unify Moonlit Night City. Cloud Midnight, the main opponent, was in a miserable state. But after Non-Smiler and July reunited, everything began to take a turn for the worse. It just so happened that there was such a valiant OP in July's small guild. Unsmiler's failure this time was the biggest failure of his online gaming career. He was chased from level 30 to level 20, becoming the first OP in the parallel world to create the legend of losing levels. To this day, no one could break this record, and his name was still being talked about from time to time. Non-Smiler's future in Cloud City was destroyed in an instant, but because of his actions, Gu Fei ran away to Moonlit Night City. Cloud Midnight was loyal to his brother at this time. He couldn't even take care of himself, but he still wanted to help his brother vent his anger. What happened after that was known by almost all players in the parallel world. Cloud Midnight became a big boss in Moonlit Night City, and Non-Smiler fell into desolation. But because of this series of events, the connection between Cloud City and Moonlit Night City was opened. Non-Smiler, who couldn't survive in Cloud City, naturally came to seek refuge with his good brother. It was just that the matter regarding Non-Smiler had been hyped up to such an extent that old grudges had been dug up and gossiped about. It was just short of being made into a music video and written as a doujinshi to be announced. No matter how much of a man Yun Jongmu was, he had still heard of many rumors, especially the brothers by his side. They were all straightforward people, and when they heard that Yun Jongmu actually knew this Non-Smiler, they all looked down on him for associating with bandits. At that time, Non-Smiler was the #1 rotten person. Silvermoon had just left the vast and boundless wilderness behind, and was in the midst of rising. Yun Jongmu was naturally quite gloomy about Non-Smiler's personality. For people like them, this type of person would make them grit their teeth in anger, but they wouldn't necessarily look down on her. This was because they were all the same type of people. Looking down on her was the same as looking down on themselves. As for Bu Zhao's actions, it was truly because they had different aspirations and different paths. Non-Smiler came to seek refuge with Yun Jongmu in high spirits, but all the brothers in the 10 Guilds Alliance already had a preconceived impression of him. Although they didn't say much due to Yun Jongmu's feelings, no matter how they looked at it, they felt that the brother that came out of Non-Smiler's mouth was filled with an air of hypocrisy. In the beginning, Non-Smiler only thought that everyone had just met and were relatively unfamiliar with each other. But after a long time, how could he not feel that in reality, everyone was treating him coldly? Even his former good brother Yun Jongmu seemed to have a gap between them. Non-Smiler's days were really bitter. Amidst these cold words and sarcastic remarks, he persevered and worked hard, actively participating in the various activities organized by the guild. For things like rushing to Cloud City to hunt down the vast wilderness, many people were too lazy to do it. He who had no enmity with the vast wilderness was unwilling to fall behind. It was just that after doing so much, there was still no one who liked him. Shamelessly enduring for so long, Non-Smiler didn't really intend to continue being a grandson like this. Seeing that there was no improvement in muddling along like this, he had already begun to often calculate his way out. He only hated the fact that the 10 Guilds Alliance was obviously such a big mess, but their unity was beyond his imagination. This group of guys seemed to be thinking with the same head, and their attitude towards him was surprisingly consistent. Non-Smiler had been muddling along for so long, but he actually hadn't made a good friend. This was really a great shame and humiliation for him. As a result, at this time he received an invitation from Yi Xiaowu and the others. For him, there was no benefit at all on Yun Zhongmu's side. And Yun Zhongmu was also becoming more and more alienated from him. He was not as overcautious and suspicious as Silvermoon, so naturally he agreed very happily. Originally, he was going to go to Forest Shade City on his own. He had just contacted the people there, and learned that the other party had come to rescue Silvermoon. Non-Smiler also wanted to take this opportunity to see what the other party was capable of. Maybe he could use his spy identity to help and take the lead in demonstrating his value or something. As a result, the other party's rescue plan was really simple. They actually used a teleportation scroll to teleport. Although simple, this could also be said to be a big deal. From this, one could also see the other party's sincerity in recruiting people. While Silvermoon was thinking about this scroll, Non-Smiler made up his mind because of this scroll. He happily hitched a ride, and the three of them flew straight to Forest Shade City. The coordinates were chosen by Silvermoon. It was impossible for Yi Xiaowu to know the specific location of each coordinate, but the general range could be estimated. The coordinates chosen by Silvermoon happened to be in the city, which saved a lot of trouble on the way. As soon as the three of them landed, Silvermoon couldn't wait to go to the resurrection point to register. He didn't want to have an accident, cheat, and then return to the knight's camp in Baishur City. Brother Silvermoon, wait for me. Let's go together. Non-Smiler was also new here, so he should also do the registration. Then you two go first, we'll contact each other later. Yi Xiaowu said to the two. Thank you. Silvermoon finally remembered to thank him. The two sides separated. Seeing Yi Xiaowu go far away, Non-Smiler immediately asked Silvermoon, Brother, what do you think of that guy? I can't say for sure. His level is low, and his equipment isn't much, but he seems to know a lot of things. Silvermoon said. Really? What did he say to you? Non-Smiler asked. A lot of things about the coordinates, and I only heard the gist of it. Silvermoon said. If he had doubts about Yi Xiaowu's words before, then from the moment he safely teleported here, he at least believed Yi Xiaowu's previous words. How did you get in touch with this guy? Silvermoon asked Non-Smiler. They looked for me, and it has something to do with Qianli's drunk. Non-Smiler said. Yes, they looked for me. Silvermoon nodded. What do you think? I think that Qianli's drunk offended this person, and he wants to gather a group of people to deal with Qianli's drunk, so he first wants to win over those of us who have a grudge with Qianli. Non-Smiler said. That makes sense. Silvermoon nodded. Brother Silvermoon thinks so too? Non-Smiler said. He felt that Silvermoon seemed to be hiding something. This guy has a grudge with Qianli's drunk, but on the other hand, I feel that he has a unique familiarity with this game. A unique familiarity? What do you mean? Non-Smiler hurriedly asked. Silvermoon lowered his voice and said to Non-Smiler, I suspect that he might be someone from within the game. The game company? They should be banned from participating in the game. Non-Smiler was shocked. They were all old players, and this was a rule that everyone knew. Maybe he's not from the game company, but he should have some kind of channel and know some insider information about the game. Silvermoon said. If that's the case, Non-Smiler said thoughtfully. Brother, you have a good idea. Silvermoon laughed. If it's that kind of guy, then it's not bad to follow him. Non-Smiler said. But we still have to get to the bottom of this, see how much information this guy has, and what plans he has. Silvermoon said. Dealing with Qianli's drunk isn't a good job. Non-Smiler said. Even though he hadn't interacted with Gu Fei in a long time, who didn't know how famous Gu Fei was in the game now? The guys around Qianli's drunk aren't easy to deal with either. Silvermoon had come into contact with them a bit later, and was fortunate enough to see the full picture of the child elite group's overall strength. But looking at that cleric, he seems pretty confident. Non-Smiler said. So we have to be even more careful. See if there's any profit to be made. That kind of guy like Qianli's drunk, when we're awesome, we can take care of him at any time. don't you think? Right. Non-Smiler nodded repeatedly. Saying this, the two of them laughed happily, actually feeling a bit excited. How long had it been? The two of them were surrounded by looks of disdain, and wanting to chat a bit with people had become extravagant wishes. But now this guy in front of them had a lot in common with them. The two of them thought at the same time. Hurry up and register him. Don't cause any more trouble. Once their relationship was solid, Non-Smiler immediately began to care about Silvermoon. Brother. What level are you now? Silvermoon was only level 36, and appraisal didn't work on Non-Smiler at all. 41. Non-Smiler said. Even though he was treated coldly, at least he wasn't treated as an opponent and chased after. Following the 10 Guild Alliance in Moonlit Night City, Non-Smiler was more comfortable farming monsters and doing quests. This was also the reason why he was so thick-skinned and couldn't bear to leave. Non-Smiler always understood the principle of a big tree providing shade. Ah, that's great. Silvermoon sighed. I'm so miserable. I'll have to train like crazy. No rush, level isn't that important. Non-Smiler comforted Silvermoon. What's more, brother Silvermoon, you have the King's Sword. This equipment's value is limitless. It's just a pity that I can't use the King's Sword anymore. Silvermoon said. What's wrong? Non-Smiler asked in shock. These hunting parties had always attached great importance to this equipment in Silvermoon's hands, but they had never heard of any party dropping it. Don't tell anyone else. Silvermoon said mysteriously. I dropped a piece of equipment when I died a while ago, and now I can't reach the coefficient requirements of this sword, so I can't activate its skills. Chapter 548. Although the two of them were very scheming, they were also very good at making friends. Now that they were calling each other brothers, Silvermoon took out the King's Sword from his pocket and showed it to Non-Smiler. Of course, Non-Smiler was very good at appraising Silvermoon. With a glance, he saw that the Sword of Kings not only had a high coefficient, but also had a strong requirement. 25 Commander. Anyone with a bit of knowledge from the parallel world would know that Commander was the required attribute for a party leader. One Commander would allow the party leader to form a party of 10 people. New players all had one Commander. Frequently leading a party could accumulate Commander experience, but the problem was that the current limit was 9. After leading a party, there would be no more EXP, so he obviously needed another way to increase it. As for what this way was, no one knew. Non-Smiler had been with Cloud Morning for a long time now, so he had heard a few things about Silvermoon. He knew that Silvermoon had been using the Sword of Kings to strut around Moonlit City at level 30. It seemed that he had already fulfilled all of the requirements for the sword at level 30. It wasn't hard to meet the coefficient requirement, because players now knew that there were some mastery equipment that had mastery attributes that could greatly increase the coefficient. However, for Silvermoon to have this type of equipment at level 30, he was already very advanced. As for how he achieved this 25 commander points, Non-Smiler reckoned that he had relied on equipment, and it was the equipment that Silvermoon had lost. This was because he saw that Silvermoon was also equipped with sword mastery equipment, so the coefficient should be enough. What he lacked was the 25 commander. Brother Silvermoon, do you have equipment that increases commander? Non-Smiler asked. He had never even heard of this type of equipment. Yeah, I used to have a plus 20 commander necklace called the Ring of Leadership. It's a pity I dropped it. Fuck, I dropped it even though I had it in my pocket. Damn it. I hope the guy who picked it up doesn't die a good death. Silvermoon cursed. The drop rate of dying in the game was relatively low when there was no PK value, and the drop rate of items in your pocket was even lower. I've never heard of this equipment. It should be hard to get, right? Non-Smiler said. Silvermoon nodded and said, that Hong Xiao found me and said that he needed the power of my Sword of Kings. I haven't told him that I can no longer activate the sword's ability. But now that you've escaped, tell him and see how he'll deal with it. If this guy really has some insider information, he might be able to get his hands on this kind of equipment, or even directly raise your commander points. Non-Smiler said. That's right. That's what I'm planning to do. Silvermoon nodded. Yi Xiao was not too surprised when he received the news from Silvermoon. He was fully aware of the equipment requirements for the Sword of Kings. The sword's coefficient was not difficult, especially at this stage of the game. Commander 25 was the key. Yi Xiaowu appraised Silvermoon's equipment, and didn't find any commander equipment. As for Silvermoon's hindsight, Yi Xiaowu dismissed it with a smile. However, Breaking Water Arrow was indignant. Scum. Yi Xiaowu patted him. Even so, we still have to help this guy. Being able to use the king's sword will save a lot of manpower. How? Help him promote to commander? Water Breaking Arrow asked. Impossible. Yi Xiaowu vetoed the idea. We need to open the reputation system to upgrade the player commander. That also requires the content of the world breakthrough. We can't touch it. Then what do we do? Breaking Arrow asked. He can't have sold this equipment to the system, right? It must have been dropped during a PK. It must have been picked up by a player. I don't know if there's any information about it being sold. If it can be bought with money, then it's naturally the best. Yi Xiaowu said. If he dropped it, it should be in Whitestone City. Didn't you go take a look? Breaking Arrow asked. Yi Xiaowu smiled bitterly. I picked him up and came straight back. Also, this guy only just told me that he can't meet the requirements. You were just looking down on him. Then we still have to go to Whitestone City. Breaking Arrow said. Yi Xiaowu nodded. Go to the market there and ask around. I'll also go to the forums and ask around. Currently, the demand for commander points isn't that high. Players don't fully understand the value of commander points, so this thing won't be very useful. Hopefully, the person who picked it up won't be too farsighted to keep it. Is there only one in the game? Breaking Arrow asked. How would I know? Yi Xiaowu smiled bitterly. He was just a normal player right now. This kind of thing could only be known through the backend data, so he wouldn't know. Logically speaking, this kind of equipment shouldn't be available at the current stage of the game. However, cross-tier equipment was now a major feature of the parallel world. This was also related to the famous quest chain system in the parallel world. A quest chain formed from a large random chain of quests had a high degree of freedom. However, it couldn't be denied that there would be some extremely lucky people who would form a chain of quests from a simple chain of events. Even though there would be a boss at the end to ensure the final difficulty, the random structure meant that the rewards might not all be concentrated at the last stage. For example, in Gu Fei's chain of quests, the Night Streamer Sword and the Night Spirit Robe were obtained at the end. However, Eddie's Emblem and the enchantment of the Baptism of Flames were also quest rewards, but they were obtained at the beginning of the quest chain. I'll make a trip to Whitestone City. Breaking Arrow said. Yi Xiaowu didn't hesitate. No matter what, Breaking Arrow's profession was much better at running errands than him. This was more efficient. On the other side, Silvermoon and Non-Smiler finished registering and waited nervously for Yi Xiaowu's response. Not long after, Silvermoon received the news and said to Non-Smiler excitedly, "That guy said he'll take care of it. He really has some skill." Non-Smiler was also moved. "I wonder where he'll get it from," Silvermoon said. Non-Smiler obviously wanted to know this too. The two of them were of the same mind. Getting a piece of equipment wasn't a big deal. If they could grasp the entire process, it would be a way to make money. Silvermoon carefully probed Yi Xiaowu. Of course, he wouldn't be so direct. He tactfully expressed that he was helping him with the commander, so he had the responsibility and obligation to help. He hoped that Yi Xiaowu wouldn't treat him like an outsider and order him around. In the end, Yi Xiaowu's reply made Silvermoon not know whether to laugh or cry. Damn, I thought he had some skill. So he's going to buy. Non-Smiler was also very disappointed, but he still knew how to comfort himself. At least this guy is rich. Silvermoon shook his head. Commander, what's the use of this thing right now? Leveling in a party with more than 10 people at most, 2 points is enough. PK in a party? There's no immunity to damage in the parallel world. PK doesn't need a party at all. It's more important to recognize faces. The use of a party, to be honest, is in battle formations. But even so, in a guild or mercenary group, it's enough to have a few people with high commanders. So the demand for commander points is very narrow. Unless the commander's equipment is extremely difficult to get, it won't be valuable at all. Then is it difficult to get it? Non-Smiler looked at Silvermoon. Silvermoon's tragic expression was enough to explain the problem. Then how did you get it? Non-Smiler asked. A chain of quests that I haven't completed yet. I was rewarded at the beginning, but I just ran errands. I didn't even experience a single battle, and didn't get it. Do you think it's difficult? Silvermoon said. A chain of quests. Just encountering it is very difficult. Non-Smiler said. Silvermoon shrugged. At this stage, I'm not optimistic at all. If that guy buys it with a large sum, I think he'll be able to get it back soon. Non-Smiler listened and nodded. Then he patted Silvermoon. Then let him do his work. Should we go level or do quests? Let's walk around first. Have you been to this city before? Silvermoon said. No, let's walk around. The two left the revival point and started to walk around the streets. They got along very well. Yi Xiaowu and Water-Breaking Arrow were both very busy at this time. Yi Xiaowu logged off the game and went to the trading area of the forum to specifically ask to buy the commander's equipment. Then he anxiously posted on the forum and refreshed the page. In the end, there were no serious replies. Some people who pretended to be veterans looked down on him and said that there were actually people who bought this kind of thing. Yi Xiaowu had been calm at first, but when he saw that his building was slowly diverted to the discussion about the commander-in-chief, of course, everyone expressed their own opinions. The only unified point was that the guy who wanted to buy this thing must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. Yi Xiaowu was furious. He saw that his post had been flooded for 5 pages in a row. There was not a single person who came to sell. According to the rules of the trading area, only supply and demand were discussed here. This shouldn't be the case. Yi Xiaowu angrily complained to the moderator. The moderator was very competent and quickly replied to his complaint, telling him, "Water is healthier." Yi Xiaowu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This moderator was a colleague he knew from the company. He had probably been managing a boring forum like the trading area for a long time, and was very lonely. It was rare for a water building to appear, but he actually treasured it. Not long after, he set a highlighted and bold post for Yi Xiaowu. Yi Xiaowu really wanted to kill him right now and give him a good beating. Yi Xiaowu offline had been flooded for a night. Water-Breaking Arrow online didn't have an easy time either. He searched from stall to stall in Baishur City's trading area, asking around the auction house and trading area. He wasn't like Yi Xiaowu, who just sat in front of the screen and refreshed. He had to run errands and was even more tired than Yi Xiaowu. It was a pity that he didn't get anything for the whole night. The player who picked up Silvermoon's Ring of Leadership seemed to have kept it as a rare item. After staying up all night, the two of them met again early in the morning and told each other about the night's tragic encounter. Both of them had expected the outcome. If there were any gains, would they have waited until now to say it? Silvermoon was also shameless enough. He had a good night in Shady Forest City. Early in the morning, he found that Yi Xiaowu was online again. He immediately sent a message. "How is it, brother? Did you get the commander's equipment?" "Damn it, what a bitch." Yi Xiaowu almost replied. "Butterfly knot. Wow, I write about the main character's people every day. It's refreshing to turn around and write about these goods." Chapter 549. A waterfall appeared in the trading area. This was not big news, but for Brother Yu, who treated the forum as his home, this situation was still discovered by him. Originally, he just wanted to take a look out of curiosity, but when he saw that it was a commander equipment that no one wanted, Brother Yu couldn't help but be startled. Brother Yu's understanding was the same as Silvermoon's analysis of Non-Smiler. At the current stage of the game, 9 commander points was more than enough, and now they needed a high commander points. Brother Yu quickly entered the game, took out his little notebook, and quickly found the data of Silvermoon's Sword of the Kings. It was what Gu Fei had asked Boundless Mang. As expected, among the equipment requirements for the Sword of the Kings, 25 commander points was impressively on the list. Sword Demon, Han Family Young Master, and the others were already in the game. Brother Yu hurriedly informed everyone of this important discovery. "This is the only place I know that needs commander points. Could the person buying the equipment be Silvermoon? Isn't the forum ID shown?" Everyone said. "That's not accurate anymore." Brother, you said. There was no need to apply for a forum account. It was directly tied to the player's account. This seemed impossible to have a sock puppet, but in reality, although the game could only be logged in by the user, there was no such check for forum accounts. As long as one knew the account password of other people, it was possible to use another ID to log in on the forum. Of course, this parallel world game couldn't be played by everyone. Many people gave up after playing for a while. Game accounts couldn't be transferred, but many people took them as sock puppets on the forum. There were also many reasons why people needed sock puppets. For example, Brother, you had 2 sock puppets. For someone like him who spent a lot of time on the forum, not having a sock puppet was too shameful. Is Silvermoon still alive? Yutian Shiming asked. Characters like him and Unscathed in Battle were only interested in finding out how many times Silvermoon had died after being sent back to Whitestone City. Now they had almost forgotten about Silvermoon. It might be Silvermoon. This guy has already escaped from Baishur City's night camp. Sword Demon said. Cloud Twilight gave me news yesterday. This guy has been stuck at the resurrection point for so many days. Yutian Shiming was surprised. Yes. What level is he now? 36, said Sword Demon. The fact that Silvermoon can use the King's Sword skill means that he has more than 25 commander. This might be because of his equipment. While I was dying, the equipment used to upgrade the King's Sword was unfortunately dropped, so I can't activate it now. That's why I sent this message. Brother, you analyzed. That makes sense. Everyone nodded. How did Silvermoon escape? Han Family Young Master suddenly asked. Someone came to rescue us. They directly used a teleportation scroll to teleport away. Cloud Twilight said it was a priest. At the same time, everyone knows the person who teleported away with them. It was Non-Smiler. Sword Demon said. Cleric. Everyone immediately thought of one person. Could it be that guy? Their guess was already close to the truth. If it's that guy, then saving Silvermoon and taking Non-Smiler away is clearly aimed at us. Han Family Young Master said. They actually found this kind of scum to help. Yutian Shunming said in disdain. They're all people who have a history with us, so the cost is low. Brother, you said. But this kind of trash would be the first to run if something happens. Han Family Young Master said. Definitely. Everyone was still very confident in Silvermoon's character. As for Non-Smiler, stubbornness was everyone's impression of him. Even though he knew he couldn't win, he didn't hurry to log off and hide. He actually went in and out and was killed 10 times. At the beginning of the game, everyone's estimation of strength wasn't accurate. This was especially true for otherworldly traveler like Gu Fei. Non-Smiler actually used Earth's mentality to consider things. The lesson was bloody. Silvermoon, Non-Smiler, apple cider vinegar, and that water-breaking arrow. On paper, the lineup seems to be quite strong. Yutian Shinming said while counting on his fingers. Silvermoon and apple cider vinegar aren't even level 40. Brother, you reminded. That guy Non-Smiler has a bit of skill, but he's just a normal expert. He's not on the same level as apple cider vinegar, let alone water-breaking arrow. Sword Demon said. We've known Non-Smilers for a long time. Who knows now? Brother, you said. Makes sense. Sword Demon immediately accepted Brother Yu's view. His idea just now was a bit rash. The problem is that we have Qianli. Yutian Shenming said. How boring. Unscathed in Battle said. There's really no challenge without at least 100 of them. Qianli's online time is already a well-known secret. He and that Hongqian Xiao have even added each other as friends. It's very likely that they'll take advantage of Qianli's absence to weaken our strength and focus on dealing with Qianli. Brother, you said. We can't ignore that red dust smile either. Even though he doesn't have the power to fight us directly, who knows what kind of strange equipment or skills he'll use on these people. That's right. Sword Demon said. Although he successfully defeated apple cider vinegar, he still had lingering fears about apple cider vinegar's footwork shadow. This kind of skill that exceeded his current level was too strong. That's right. This is the scariest part. Han Family Young Master said. Moreover, from the way he's doing things, he can't just look for Silvermoon and Non-Smiler to help him, right? These two aren't the only ones who have a grudge against us. Canon Yu. This was the first person that came to everyone's mind. He was their main opponent recently. Canon Yu was indeed the scariest. He had a complete team under him that wasn't any weaker than Child Elite Group. Of course, this was excluding the situation of Gu Fei, who came from outer space. Although all of them were below level 40, if they were also equipped by that Hongqian Yixiao, it would indeed be difficult to deal with them. Especially when Gu Fei wasn't united with everyone and only showed up for a short while every night. Therefore, my strategy has always been correct. Han Family Young Master said. Strategy? When did you have a strategy? Everyone was confused. We can't be passive. We have to take the initiative, just like how we took down apple cider vinegar. Han Family Young Master said. Aren't we looking for Silvermoon and Non-Smiler's help? Very good. Let's get rid of these two first. The problem is, where are we going to find them? Everyone said. Isn't Silvermoon looking to buy Commander's equipment? Brother Yu, go tell him that we have it. Set up a place and take it. It's that simple. Han Family Young Master said. How could he come after seeing Brother Yu's ID? Yu Tianshengming thought that Han Family Young Master was retarded. Before Han Family Young Master could say anything, Brother Yu already said, I also have an avatar. I'll contact them. Wait for my news. Brother Yu chatted with everyone about this when he came online. He didn't even leave the offline area and immediately went offline. The others also put down what they were busy with and gathered around to prepare for work. After going offline, Brother Yu went back to the forums and logged into his avatar. The first post in the history of the trading area was still there. It was now at page 11. However, everyone's enthusiasm had clearly died down. If it wasn't for the fact that it was highlighted at the top, it probably would have disappeared. Brother Yu didn't know if the other party was still waiting for news. In any case, he replied to the post and claimed that he had the equipment. What equipment? How much does it add? Brother Yu typed a few times and there was actually a reply. He took a look and saw that it was indeed the original poster. I was too careless. Brother Yu slapped his mouth. He didn't do his homework and ran over to scam people. Although Brother Yu was knowledgeable, he had never seen this kind of equipment before. But then he thought about how he had never seen it before. Silvermoon had occasionally gotten one or two. How would he know how big the world was and how many types of equipment there were? Thinking of Brother Yu, he boldly replied, General's ring. Commander plus 18. Brother Yu applauded himself for bragging. With an 18 commander and a possible 9 points from the player himself, 27 points was enough for Silvermoon to use the Sword of Kings. The other party had no reason to reject him. Sure enough, after a few swipes, the other party replied, How much? You open it. Brother Yu played the role of a buying and selling player in a normal manner. 500. The other party did not hesitate either. That's too cheap, bro. This thing isn't easy to get. Brother Yu naturally did not care about the price. However, he was afraid that it would raise suspicions if he agreed too readily, so he continued to act professionally. Bro, this equipment is useless at the moment. I only need it because I want to fully activate the equipment I have. 500 is already because this thing is considered rare. Otherwise, do you think it's really worth that much? The other party replied. That was quite frank. Brother Yu did not expect the great hoodwinker Silvermoon to tell him the truth. He thought to himself that this person was really different when he put on a sock puppet. He could even turn a wolf into a sheep. Thinking about it, he immediately replied, Look, you've been posting this thread for a day, but no one has responded even after it's gone viral. I've never seen such an inefficient transaction on the trade page before. You can imagine how rare this thing is. Even if it's rare, 500 is still too little, right? Why don't we do it this way? You bring the goods with you, and let's meet in the game to discuss it face to face? That's too troublesome. While the two of them were going back and forth, someone else was still swiping to interrupt them. No problem. Brother Yu only wanted to meet him. If the other party had dawdled any further, he would have said the same thing as well. However, he did not expect the other party to bring it up first. Is that your name in the game? The other party asked again. No, just tell me a place and we'll meet directly, brother Yu replied. This was not to the extent of raising suspicions. That was because too many transactions on the trade page were done this way. They did not mention their real names at all. When the transaction was done, it was possible that both parties would not know the other party's name, appearance, or even gender. Which city are you in? The other party asked. Shady City, brother Yu said. Cross-city transactions were also a troublesome matter. Sometimes it would take several hours just to get a piece of equipment. Players had been calling for the exchange and auction house to be shared with the world. However, the officials explained that it was not that they did not want to do so, but that the technology was limited and could not support sharing with the world. In fact, this was in line with the problem of map coordinates that Yi Xiaowu had mentioned before. If they were all piled up together, the server would not be able to handle it, so the burden would have to be split up. Oh, what a coincidence. I'm also in Shady City, the other party replied. Chapter 550. He actually came directly to Shady Forest City. Is he eager to make a move on us? Brother Yu thought so, but the reply in the message was to quickly set up a meeting place with the other party. As for the time, brother Yu said he had something to do at the moment, so it was set for an hour later. Then, brother Yu quickly connected to the game and informed everyone of the news. He wanted to get to know the terrain in advance and make some preparations. Tavern? Not bad. Han family young master was very satisfied with this meeting place. 9 out of 10 players would meet in a tavern. Everyone knows Silvermoon, but this kid may not show his face. Everyone should be careful of masked level 36 knights, especially those with sword mastery equipment. Brother Yu reminded everyone. But he also knows us. Yutian Shenming said. Everyone covers their faces. We don't need to go into the tavern, we can just wait outside, brother Yu suggested. Wait, what if Silvermoon doesn't come by himself? What if he sends a friend over? What do we do? Unscathed in battle suddenly thought of this. Friend? He still has friends? Han family young master snorted. Of course, he had already considered these details when he proposed the plan, but he deliberately didn't say it. He was waiting for someone to come to their senses and laugh at him. Unscathed in battle unfortunately fell into his trap and slapped himself hard in the face. Too fucking stupid. Unscathed in battle thought, how many times have I sworn not to question, suggest, or ask this guy's plan? Why can't I remember it? Even Han family young master hadn't been to the alley tavern before. They asked around and finally found the place, but the tavern was a little different from what they had imagined. The alley tavern was located in a remote area. After a few turns, they reached the end of a dead-end alley. There was no endless flow of people outside the door, and there were no players who liked to set up stalls in front of the tavern to sell some groceries. Firstly, there were not many people here. Secondly, the alley was really narrow. There was not much space for people to set up their stalls. The Han family young master's original plan was for everyone to disguise themselves as these stallholders and attack as soon as Silvermoon arrived. However, it seemed that this ambush method could not be carried out. Setting up a stall here would only arouse suspicion. And with Silvermoon's wily personality, it was very likely that she would sense something amiss. Moreover, the houses on both sides of the alley were low, and it was impossible for people to hide on top of them. If they were slightly further away, they would be seen by others. As such, their only choice was to enter the tavern. After standing at the entrance of the alley and staring at the sky for a while, the Han family young master led the group into the pub. Let's go in. Unexpectedly, this tavern was located in a remote and small area. There were quite a few people inside, but it was different from the noisy scene of ordinary taverns. This small tavern nestled in the corner of Forest Shade City, where most people were too lazy to come, turned out to be the favorite of Forest Shade City's couples. Inside, a couple of men and women were sitting hand in hand, whispering to each other as if there was no one else around. Their mouths were moving, and they were laughing, but there was no messy sound coming out. The 5 people entered the door in one breath, and it attracted everyone's attention. Everyone had a surprised look on their faces. Obviously, the 5 masked men were very incompatible with the atmosphere of this tavern. Yutian Shunming and Unscathed in Battle had a look of envy in their eyes. Sword Demon and Brother Yu were more embarrassed, and the Han family young master was even more indifferent than those couples in love. He broke the silence in the tavern with one sentence. "What are you looking at? Have you never seen a masked man before?" After saying that, he had already directed the tavern NPC to serve wine with one hand and walk to the largest table with the other. Everyone involuntarily lowered their heads, even Sword Demon and the other three. "Ahem, I'll go stand guard at the door." The atmosphere of this tavern made Sword Demon uncomfortable, and the Han family young master made such a scene. An idea came to him, and he slipped out after sending this message in the channel. He crouched in a corner at the end of the alley and activated stealth. "I'm going to study hard." Yutian Shunming expressed his stance and received a positive response from Unscathed in Battle. The two of them chose a couple that looked the most harmonious among the many couples and sat down at the table next to those two people. Just as they pricked up their ears to learn what they were talking about, the two people stood up and rushed out of the tavern, leaving the two of them looking at each other. Brother Yu's behavior was more ordinary. He inconspicuously went to Han family young master's table and sat down quietly. He didn't ask for a drink, but looked at Han family young master and said, "I'd like to see how you're going to drink with your face covered." Han family young master raised his eyebrows and seemed to smile contemptuously. Then he calmly took out a straw from his pocket and threw it into the bottle. Brother Yu took a deep breath and gave a thumbs up to Han family young master. "Awesome." After saying that, he got up and sat at the second table on the left. This was the place where they had agreed to meet. After sitting down, he nodded to Han family young master. Everything was going according to plan. A few minutes later, Yutian Shunming and Unscathed in Battle lecherously judged every girl in the tavern, scaring away 1/3 of the people. Han family young master drank with a straw in his mouth, as if there was no one else around, scaring away 1/3 of the people. Brother Yu didn't say a word, didn't drink, and didn't move. He was silent like a killer, scaring away 1/3 of the people. A few minutes later, there were only 4 people left in the tavern. Sword Demon, who was outside the tavern, sent a puzzled message. Why did they all leave? The answer was only one word: aura. He then added another word: too strong. After that, 2 more couples came by. The first couple saw this strange scene, and they turned around and left. The second couple was a little slow. They came in and sat for a while before they felt uncomfortable and left. No one cared about these things anymore. Everyone was staring at the time. Time passed by, and there were only 5 minutes left before Brother Yu and the other party agreed to meet. "Someone is coming." Sword Demon sent a message. "How many people?" "1, but he doesn't seem to be a knight." The distance was still far, so Sword Demon couldn't use Identify. Moreover, using Identify in stealth mode would expose him. Sword Demon could only make a rough judgment from the other party's attire. "If you confirm his identity, Sword Demon, you can just kill him. Do you need us to do anything?" Yutian Shunming said in the tavern. "It's a priest." Sword Demon finally saw the other party's attire clearly. It was a standard priest's attire. Is that kid deliberately mystifying things? They were confused. It wasn't impossible for a knight to wear priest's attire, but they knew that Sword Demon couldn't use Identify now, so he could only look at the appearance. However, when the person walked a few steps closer, Sword Demon had already called out the other party's name. "It's Hongchen Yixiao. How can it be him?" Brother Yu was stunned. Of course he's considered a friend of Silvermoon now. What a pity. It just had to be this guy who's not afraid of dropping levels. Han family young master sighed. "He's coming. He's at the door. He's going in." Sword Demon sent 3 messages in a row, and Han family young master only replied 1. "Stay where you are, continue to stealth, and don't move." The tavern door was pushed open with a squeak. Yi Xiaowu stepped in, looked at the 4 people in the 3 seats of the tavern, and smiled. "It really is you guys. Oh, you knew?" Han family young master didn't seem surprised. He took off his mask and threw away the straw. Sure enough, drinking like this was more enjoyable. Yi Xiaowu looked at the 4 of them and asked, "Who contacted me?" "It's me." Brother, you didn't hide it and admitted it. Yi Xiaowu shook his head. I didn't know there was an equipment called General's Ring in this game. Brother Yu was stunned and embarrassed. Who would have thought that he would reveal a flaw because of this? If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have been so lazy and would have asked around for a real piece of equipment. Although this equipment was rare, just like how he had asked around for the king's sword, he would definitely know what Silvermoon had used back then. He could only blame himself for thinking that the other party was Silvermoon. You're quite familiar with the game. It seems that you really know a lot of inside information. Han family young master said. A little. Yi Xiaowu said indifferently. You know so many things, but you still run around in the game. Aren't you afraid of danger? Han family young master said. Yi Xiaowu of course knew what he was referring to, and said calmly, I know what I'm doing. What's the situation outside? Han family young master asked Sword Demon. Nothing, Sword Demon answered. Han family young master stood up and waved his hand. Kill him and leave. Yi Xiaowu smiled. It's not that easy to kill me. Yutian Shunming and Unscathed in Battle didn't have time to act. Yi Xiaowu had already disappeared with a flash of white light. Teleport again. The two were depressed. Or maybe it's the wind-chasing emblem. Han family young master said. Why does he have? There's apple cider vinegar, so he can naturally borrow it too. Han family young master said. This guy, he only said a few words and then teleported away. What is he doing? Is he purposely making fun of us? Yutian Shunming didn't understand. Maybe there's already an ambush outside. Brother Yu said. That's right. Since he already knew it was a trap, he might have set it up. Unscathed in Battle said. Han family young master shook his head. If that's the case, there's no need for him to come out and disappear. His ambush might have been set up before we arrived. Then why did he come all the way here? Just like what Yutian said. To make fun of us? Other than a brat like Yutian, who would be so bored. Unscathed in Battle said. Get lost, you old fart. Yutian Shunming scolded. The two argued. Let's leave first. Han family young master picked up the wine bottle on the table and left. Outside the door, Sword Demon had already given up on stealth. Looking at the narrow alley, everyone couldn't help but feel that it was safer and more direct to go through the houses. The five of them went into the house and looked around, but didn't find anything out of the ordinary. There's really no ambush. Brother, you didn't believe it. What the hell is this guy doing? Yutian Shunming muttered. Is he really as childish as Yutian? Unscathed in Battle said. Fuck you. Yutian Shunming scolded. Sword Demon didn't say anything and looked at Han family young master. Don't worry, everything is under my control. Han family young master drank the last drop of wine in the bottle. Chapter 551. Treeline City Wanted Office. The door opened and Yi Xiaowu walked out calmly. Silvermoon and Non-Smiler were waiting anxiously outside the door. As soon as they saw him, they quickly went up to him. How is it? It's them indeed. Yi Xiaowu nodded. Damn, they really want to kill me. Silvermoon was resentful. Here's your emblem. Yi Xiaowu handed the wind-chasing emblem back to Non-Smiler. Han family young master's deduction was at least one wrong. The wind-chasing emblem that Yi Xiaowu used wasn't apple cider vinegar, but Non-Smiler's. In Moonlit Night City, this item wasn't a rare item. Moreover, it had long been unearthed by the players as a weapon for escaping. How could an overlord of undead like Non-Smiler, who had been continuously slashed by people 10 times, not have one in reserve? This thing isn't bad. Silvermoon also had this idea. I'll help you get one when I'm free. Non-Smiler smiled. Silvermoon nodded. After a night of sleepless nights, the two guys were really as close as brothers. Who picked up your ring of leadership? Did you notice? Yi Xiaowu asked Silvermoon. I didn't notice. Silvermoon wasn't in a good mood. Every time he died in White Stone City, he was trampled to death. There were a lot of gorgeous corpses at the scene. He didn't know who picked it up. At least it wasn't someone from the 10 Guild Alliance. Non-Smiler said. Are you sure? Silvermoon said. If someone from the 10 Guild Alliance got your equipment, it's impossible not to announce it. Non-Smiler patted Silvermoon. During the siege, those who could punch Silvermoon would show off for a long time in the guild. If they could really get a Silvermoon equipment, it would be enough to show off for a month. Silvermoon also understood what he meant and spat on the ground in annoyance. How many people do you know at that time? Yi Xiaowu asked Non-Smiler. I'm not sure, there were too many people. And many of them were from White Stone City. We don't know them. Non-Smiler said. Old Duan went to White Stone City for a day and didn't find any clues. Yi Xiaowu sighed. Actually, I haven't completed the chain of quests that gave me this equipment yet. I'm thinking that if I can continue to complete them, perhaps I'll get another piece of equipment like this in the future. Silvermoon suddenly said as if nothing had happened. Oh, what chain of tasks? Yi Xiaowu asked. A lost expedition, Silvermoon said. Oh, there's no such reward, Yi Xiaowu said casually. Ah, what else is there? Silvermoon asked casually. I don't know, Yi Xiaowu said. Silvermoon did not pursue the matter. She exchanged a glance with Non-Smiler, and both of their expressions revealed a trace of strangeness. The probability of this kind of equipment appearing is still very low. Maybe the whole world really only has your ring of leadership, said Yi Xiaowu. What should we do? Silvermoon asked anxiously. Let's wait for news from Old Duan first, Yi Xiaowu said. Oh, then what about your trip just now? Did you make the mark you were talking about? Silvermoon asked. Yi Xiaowu nodded. But we still have to wait for them to be alone. At present, we still don't have the strength to face their team head-on. Yes. Silvermoon and Non-Smiler both nodded. But what is the mark you were talking about? Can we see it? You guys want to see it? The two nodded frantically. Follow me. Yi Xiaowu led the way. The two didn't know why, but they hurriedly followed behind. Finally, they walked to a certain place. The two looked and saw that it was the Alchemist Academy on the side of Shady Forest City. What are we doing here? Non-Smiler and Silvermoon discussed in private, but they couldn't understand. They could only follow Yi Xiaowu to the alchemy room in the academy that was specially provided for players. Yi Xiaowu led the two of them to an operating table. He deftly fished out raw materials from his pocket towards the table. He used the various instruments on the operating table to weigh and distribute them. Finally, he stored them in a container. He poured an unknown potion into the container, and a blank scroll was spread out on the table. The potion quickly dissolved all the materials in the container, and was immediately splashed onto the blank scroll. Yi Xiaowu muttered a few words. His right hand skillfully drew on the scroll, as if he was splashing ink. A streak of silver light followed the trajectory of his fingertips and sprinkled above the scroll. Then, like powder, it floated onto the scroll. Yi Xiaowu flicked the end of the scroll with the back of his finger. The scroll quickly rolled up and looked brand new. It's done. Yi Xiaowu smiled at the two. It wasn't just the two who were dumbfounded. The other players who were busy at the operating tables were all attracted by Yi Xiaowu's actions. These players made a mess of the operating table. Every one of them was busy until their faces were covered in dirt. From time to time, they would let out angry curses when they failed to operate. Who would play as casually as Yi Xiaowu? When everyone came back to their senses, they immediately rushed over in a clamor. Silvermoon and Non-Smiler were about to ask Yi Xiaowu something, but they were instantly pushed to the outermost circle by the crowd. Brother, what did you do just now? Teach us. A player with scorch marks on his forehead and eyebrows said excitedly. What did you do just now? A scroll? A girl whose face was brightly colored with unknown materials wiped the beads of sweat from her forehead as she looked at the scroll that had just been rolled up on the operating table. Yes, teach us. Even more people said the same thing. Yi Xiaowu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I didn't do anything. It was just an ordinary magic scroll. The method is the same as everyone else. As long as everyone is careful when mixing the materials and don't make any mistakes, then practice the casting method more, it will look like this. Then do it again for us to see. Just now, many players had only noticed this side halfway and were eager to see the full picture. Okay. Yi Xiaowu couldn't refuse so many earnest gazes. Once again, he took out the materials, took out the scroll, mixed them on the spot, and cast the spell. He was as free and easy as before. Done. As the scroll was rolled up again, Yi Xiaowu looked back and gestured to everyone. There was a round of applause, and many people cheered loudly. There are a lot of materials, and the method is also very complicated. This is a scroll for a high-level skill, right? There were still some players with a bit of skill. Yi Xiaowu nodded. What skill is it? Someone was curious and naturally followed up with the question. Yi Xiaowu smiled but didn't answer. That was amazing. Brother, let's do it again. Someone said. Yi Xiaowu said helplessly. No, we don't have enough materials. Everyone looked at Yi Xiaowu's operating table. Indeed, the materials he used to make the scroll were almost 3 times more difficult than the most difficult materials they had ever encountered. Some of them were even materials they had never seen before. They all played alchemy and knew that this meant that it was a high-level skill, and a high-level skill, of course, also meant that the production costs would be very high. Yi Xiaowu had already used up his own materials to perform once. It was already very good. Whether the materials were really insufficient or not, no one had the nerve to ask. However, they really wanted to see this expert's performance again, so someone said, then let's perform something simpler. This suggestion was unanimously agreed upon by everyone. Yi Xiaowu had no choice but to do something simple. He randomly picked up a few materials and directly threw them into the flask that had been filled with potions. He picked it up and shook it a few times. A blank scroll was directly thrown into the flask without even opening it. His left hand shook the flask up and down, and the potion in the flask splashed onto the scroll. But before he could spill the excess, Yi Xiaowu's right hand had already quickly made a few gestures in the air. He chanted, and with a flash of light, there was no trace of the potion, and the scroll was taken out of the flask. It was already completed. This time, everyone was truly dumbfounded. From the materials he had just taken, a few players who were also clerics could already see that this time, he had made a scroll for the cleric skill recovery. This was something that all clerics knew, but Yi Xiaowu's speed and proficiency were unparalleled. In particular, this method of not even opening the scroll was something they had never seen before. Like this, can it be done? Someone said in a daze. Yi Xiaowu smiled faintly and spread out the freshly made scroll. He shook it in the wind, and with a swish, a white light of recovery bathed the player. How could this be fake? Everyone was dumbfounded. And once again there was a burst of enthusiastic applause. Another one. Someone shouted loudly in the applause again. Silvermoon and Non-Smiler were at the outermost circle of the crowd at this time. They could barely see the situation inside by bouncing around. Alchemy, do you know it? Silvermoon asked Non-Smiler. No, my ass, who practices that stuff? Non-Smiler said. A bunch of people turned around and glared at him. Non-Smiler hurriedly cupped his fists and bowed, his face full of smiles as he apologized to everyone. He was really afraid that there was a crazy person like Qianli Drunk hidden in this group of people. If he made a slip of the tongue and offended him, he would be chased down 18 streets. What would he do then? Silvermoon didn't dare to speak carelessly, and carefully sent a message to Non-Smiler. No wonder that guy's level is so low, so he's playing with life skills. What's the use? Non-Smiler agreed. It was true that he and Silvermoon were now down and out, but they were originally at the top of the level leaderboards. This was achieved by focusing on leveling up. They could play with life skills a little, but it was a waste of time to play proficiency. Damn, when is this over? Silvermoon continued to look in on her tiptoes. Yi Xiaowu was surrounded by the crowd of alchemy players, and he performed 18 times in a row, making scrolls of every priest skill he knew. These scrolls were often sold by other players, and he was also asked by several other priest players to perform many times. Those players who weren't priests couldn't see what kind of superb technique he had to make the skill scrolls they knew, and they all looked as if they had lost their parents. Silvermoon and Non-Smiler were about to die of annoyance waiting outside the circle, and finally heard Yi Xiaowu say in the circle, "Brothers, I still have things to do today, so let's call it a day? If there's a chance in the future, let's spar again." Everyone saw that they had indeed wasted a lot of his time, and they really didn't want to stop him. Many people requested to add Yi Xiaowu as a friend, and there was even a little girl who pitifully followed behind him and asked, When will Big Brother come again? Wait for you. Fuck. Silver Moon and Non-Smiler both shouted in their hearts. You can also pick up girls like this. Hurry, 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 it's too late. The two of them couldn't bear it anymore, and shouted loudly as they came in and dragged Yi Xiaowu away. Chapter 552. The crowd glared angrily at the two fellows who dragged their idol away, but the two couldn't care less. They practically dragged Yi Xiaowu out. They hid in a corner the moment they exited the door. Following that, a large crowd rushed out of the alchemy school and chased after them. No one noticed that the three of them were actually hiding in the corner. Silver Moon and Non-Smiler, these two fellows, were already masters of concealment. Big bro, aren't you tired? The two complained to Yi Xiaowu. Yi Xiaowu didn't say anything. He just took out the scroll he made for the first time and showed it to the two of them. I sealed the skills I've already used on this scroll. Now, only through this scroll can you see the coordinates of the inescapable mark that I've cast. The two craned their necks to take a look. Silver Moon asked casually, "How did you learn this skill?" This time, Yi Xiaowu didn't avoid answering. He simply told the two to give up. This is a cleric skill. Then when do we make our move? Silver Moon asked. Old Duan hasn't returned from Whitestone City yet. Apple Vinegar won't be able to move unless he takes the initiative. We can only rely on the three of us for now, Yi Xiaowu said. Is that so? Actually, there's no rush. Didn't old Duan go there to find the halo of leadership? If we can get it back, our strength will be much stronger, Silver Moon said as he rubbed his king's sword and gestured to Yi Xiaowu. This sly fellow didn't want to be the first to be cannon fodder. Moreover, he was only level 36 and couldn't activate his weapon. He was indeed not strong enough. As for Non-Smiler, Silver Moon exchanged glances with him and knew that he had the same thoughts as him. He didn't want to be the first to take the risk. The two's ideal arrangement was for others to fight on the front lines while they threw black bricks at the back. If someone dropped any equipment, they would actively pick it up. This was the best arrangement. How could Yi Xiaowu not understand these two's intentions? Moreover, he was well aware of these two fellas' characters. At this moment he did not expose them, he only nodded and said, "Then we'll talk about it when old Duan comes back. But for now, let's see if they've split up. Non-Smiler, take the scroll and take a look." Finding excuses for every errand was ultimately somewhat unjustifiable. Although the Non-Smiler was unwilling, he still braced himself and accepted it. As a matter of fact, he was quite suitable for scouting with the skill Vanish. However, when he fought against Gu Fei back then, it was as if Vanish and stealth didn't exist. It left a very heavy psychological scar on him. If every thief in the game relied heavily on their stealth skills, then Unsmiler was definitely an exception. But at this time, he had already accepted the task, so it wasn't appropriate for Non-Smiler to be a bystander. After opening the scroll and taking a look, he bade farewell to the two of them and left. After Non-Smiler left, Silver Moon cleared her throat and went to talk to Yi Xiaowu. Well, how is old Duan going to get the ring of leadership from Baishur City? I have no choice but to buy it at a high price. Yi Xiaowu sighed. You're quite rich, aren't you? Silver Moon used all her strength to say this sentence in an extremely natural and unsuspicious manner. Actually, there's another piece of equipment that I think will be very useful to us, Silver Moon said. Oh, what is it? Yi Xiaowu asked. The ideal magic staff, Silver Moon said. Mana sacrifice. Yi Xiaowu immediately knew that this magic staff would have a skill attached to it. As expected, Silver Moon was once again convinced in his heart. There were many details that showed that this little cleric in front of her was indeed very familiar with the game. Although he said he didn't know some things, it was clear that he didn't want to reveal them. This guy was a treasure trove. This skill complements your king's command. It's quite good. Yi Xiaowu nodded. If we can get it, it will be of great help to us, Silver Moon said. This equipment isn't a quest reward. It was dropped from a wild boss, and the drop rate is very low. It's hard to come by. Yi Xiaowu said. Silver Moon sighed in admiration once again. The ideal staff had indeed been dropped when they had killed a wild boss in Moonlit Night City. I know who has it, and there are ways to get it, Silvermoon said. Really? Yi Xiaowu had only heard of Silvermoon's despicable past, and the ideal magic staff in Boundless Mang's story wasn't a main clue. So it wasn't something that everyone knew. Yi Xiaowu didn't even know if this equipment had appeared in the game, but hearing Silvermoon mention it, it was natural that this guy had dealt with the person who had this equipment. Yi Xiaowu didn't think that this person was actually Boundless Mang. This magic staff, according to its value, has this skill. The other attributes are relatively ordinary, so 2,000 gold should be enough. But the problem is, will its owner be willing to let it go? Yi Xiaowu said. With 3,000 gold, I can definitely get it. I've been paying attention for a long time. Silvermoon said. So it's like that. Yi Xiaowu was a bit hesitant. 3,000 gold wasn't a problem for him, but the problem was handing over the money to the guy in front of him. Yi Xiaowu didn't have that much trust in him. If it's possible, I'll contact him now. When the time comes, we'll go and trade, Silvermoon said. Yi Xiaowu heard that he wasn't going to take the money from him to trade with him, and immediately relaxed. He nodded. Then go. Wait for my news. Silvermoon turned and left. In fact, he wasn't going anywhere at all. He was just going to find a place to send a message in peace. Silvermoon's friend list was originally full of glory, but ever since his despicable past was exposed, a large number of friends deleted him. Now 9 out of 10 people in the friend list would tell him that the other party doesn't talk to strangers. However, there were some special people who didn't care about the other party's character. At this time, Silvermoon wanted to contact such people. On the friend list, the other party was online. Silvermoon quickly sent a message. Danan, you're here. The person Silvermoon contacted was Jiannanyu. How have you been recently? You seem pretty miserable. Recently, Silvermoon didn't play the game much, but he browsed the web a lot. Jiannanyu's rapid disappearance from the level ranking list was also a hot topic recently. However, Jiannanyu kept a low profile and only dealt with the people he needed. Even if he discussed with unrelated people, there would not be any results. Most people did not even know what Jiannanyu actually did. As for Silvermoon, he had always been on Jiannanyu's list of clients. I heard that you've already escaped. Jiannanyu ignored Silvermoon's sigh. You're quite well informed, Silvermoon said. I wonder which god did it. Jiannanyu said. Hehe, I can't tell you that, Silvermoon said. When they were trapped in the Knight's camp in Baishur City, Jiannanyu was also the person Silvermoon sought for help. However, at that time, Jiannanyu was competing with Gu Fei for a big deal, so he didn't accept Silvermoon's business. In the end, the outcome of competing with Gu Fei was extremely tragic. Jiannanyu sometimes thought that if he didn't accept Gu Fei's business and came to Baishur City to challenge the public to save Silvermoon, he might not have been so miserable. Then why are you looking for me now? Jiannanyu asked. Are you still taking jobs? Silvermoon said. It depends on the specifics, Jiannanyu said. Hehe, what's wrong? You dropped a few levels and lost your confidence? You wouldn't have asked this in the past, Silvermoon said. Jiannanyu was helpless. He really didn't dare to provoke Gu Fei now. He also knew that Silvermoon and Gu Fei had a grudge. If she asked him to take revenge for her, Jiannanyu didn't want to take on this job, at least not now. Help me get a piece of equipment, Silvermoon said. What? Jiannanyu decided that if it was the night streamer, he would immediately play dead. The ideal staff, Silvermoon said. Jiannanyu was startled. After a while he replied, You're really ruthless. The ideal staff was in the vast and boundless hands. Yi Xiaowu didn't know this information, but Jiannanyu did. They were people who specialized in this business, so they usually paid a lot of attention to collecting such information. On the forums, in the game, and in the players' conversations, they had a thick record of who had what special equipment. Even if Brother Yu saw it, he would be ashamed. This was called specialization. Just tell me if you want to take it or not, Silvermoon asked. 1,500 deposit, 1,500 delivery. Jiannanyu replied. No problem. Silvermoon and Jiannanyu were familiar with each other. Once the deposit was paid, Jiannanyu would do the job. If he didn't get any equipment, he would return the deposit. If he did get equipment, but the buyers suddenly changed their mind, then he wouldn't return the deposit. Jiannanyu had no problems with his credibility, so Silvermoon was very assured. As for Silvermoon's character, Jiannanyu was also aware of it. If it was a normal person, he would only ask for 500-1000 deposit. Silvermoon was special and directly asked for 1500. How many days before the delivery? Silvermoon asked. Can you confirm her current location? Jiannanyu asked. I can't. Theoretically, she should be back in Cloud City. Because of the crappy quest, a bunch of players in Cloud City rushed out into the world. After finishing their work, they weren't in a hurry to return. They wandered around like they were on vacation, causing unnecessary trouble for Jiannanyu and his peers. That's your problem, Silvermoon said. If it's Cloud City, add another 1000. Jiannanyu said. Why? Silvermoon was anxious. It's too risky. Jiannanyu said. Silvermoon was startled. Cloud City was risky? After thinking about it, he was definitely referring to that crazy drunk Qianli. It seemed like Jiannanyu was also unlucky and ended up in such a miserable state. Silvermoon only felt a sense of schadenfreude. He wished that everyone in the world would be killed by Qianli when he got drunk, and then everyone in the world would seek revenge on him. If you're worried about Qianli getting drunk, then don't worry. He's in Shady Forest City now, Silvermoon said. Chapter 553. Also in Shady Forest City? No way. Jiannan shivered. Because unfortunately, he was also in Shady Forest City these few days. After being killed again in Xiaoyu City, Jiannan and his party were in a hurry to leave. Their hometown Linshui City was chased by all the guilds in the city, so they didn't dare to return. Sunset City was afraid of the 100 Battles mercenary group, so they didn't dare to go. As a result, Shady Forest City was the only main city near Xiaoyu City. Who would have thought that after a few days, they would hear such news? They're not here to kill me, are they? Jiannan muttered in his heart. He had already called his other brothers to leave Shady Forest City as soon as possible. On Silvermoon's side, after negotiating the business with Jiannan, she also informed Yi Xiaowu. Of course, she didn't tell the truth that she had hired a hitman to rob. She only said that she had already contacted the seller, but the two sides were not in the same main city. The other party said that he would come back when he had time. These guys really have some skills, Yi Xiaowu muttered to himself. Although he had comprehensive game knowledge that others couldn't have, Yi Xiaowu couldn't compare with these experts in the game at all in terms of this kind of network. While he was thinking, Yi Xiaowu's heart suddenly moved. He suddenly turned his head and looked in a certain direction. He stretched out his right hand, and a recovery spell floated down. A figure that was originally blurred in his eyes instantly became clear. The non-smiler stood in place with a stunned expression, not knowing what to say for a moment. What are you doing here? Yi Xiaowu looked calm. No matter how cunning the non-smiler was, he couldn't find an excuse at this time. Yi Xiaowu called him to take the scroll to investigate the other party's situation. This guy agreed verbally, but he was not prepared to take this risk at all. After disappearing at the corner of the street, he immediately sneaked back again. He didn't dare to do such a dangerous thing as approaching the child elite group, but he was very interested in following Yi Xiaowu to see what secrets this guy had. Fishing for benefits from Yi Xiaowu. This was the idea that he and Silvermoon had. In contrast, the non-smiler could follow Yi Xiaowu to see what he would do. Perhaps there would be more discoveries. The non-smiler had this idea for a long time, but he had been with Silvermoon and hadn't had the chance to implement it. It was rare for everyone to work separately now, so non-smiler immediately seized the opportunity and prepared to spend the energy of stalking and peeping on Yi Xiaowu. He didn't expect that he would be discovered by Yi Xiaowu as soon as he got close to him. Yi Xiaowu had cast a healing spell on him and interrupted his stealth. Stealth is useless. It's completely useless. Unsmiling pain. A puny level 36 priest had seen through him. What are you doing here? Why didn't you look for the people from Child Elite Group? Yi Xiaowu had just asked the question once, but the non-smiler didn't respond at all. She had no choice but to ask again. Ah. The non-smiler snapped out of his daze and suddenly came up with an excuse. I don't know. You don't know him. Yi Xiaowu was puzzled. Yeah. I was just about to go, but halfway there, I suddenly remembered that other than that drunk Qianli, I haven't really interacted with the rest of the guys from Child Elite Group. I don't know them, the non-smiler hurriedly said. This was the truth. When he had been killed 10 times in a row, the first 2 levels had been done by the others, but they had all covered their faces. The last 8 levels were all done by Gu Fei alone. The others didn't participate at all. After that, the non-smiler had sunk into oblivion and had no chance to interact with the others. Saying he didn't know them was barely an excuse. Is that so? Then why did you sneak back? Yi Xiaowu asked, as if he was interested to see how the non-smiler would answer this question. A safety first. Stealth it's safer, the non-smiler said while cursing in his heart. Safety my ass. He had already decided that he would never believe in stealth again. Hee hee. Yi Xiaowu laughed. He laughed so hard that the non-smiler's scalp felt a little numb. Then he heard him say, it's better to be careful. There might already be quite a number of people who have anti-stealth skills or equipment. If you still believe in stealth, you'll suffer greatly. That's right, that's right. The non-smiler's cheeks streamed with tears. In this aspect, he was the first to suffer, but on the other hand, he couldn't miss this opportunity to get information. He hurriedly took the opportunity to ask, how did you know I was there? Holy Sense, a passive skill that senses traps and stealthiness. Yi Xiaowu said. This is too overpowered. The non-smiler's mouth was wide open. It's not as exaggerated as you think. It also depends on the 2 sides' levels, skill proficiency, and so on. In reality, you're a level 41 assassin. The probability of being detected by my level 36 priest's holy sense is around 0.4%. Yi Xiaowu said. The non-smiler felt that he really needed to delete his account. This ID was already hopeless. Since you don't know them, then give me the scroll. Yi Xiaowu said. How about this, the 2 of us go together. You can take me to recognize them first. It'll be much more convenient in the future. The non-smiler said. Oh. I don't know how to stealth. Yi Xiaowu said. Stealth isn't safe. Just casually change your equipment and cover your face. Even if you sit next to them, they might not know. I think there are quite a lot of masked people in this city. The non-smiler looked at the 2 masked lurkers walk by and then added. There are quite a lot of strange clothes too. The 2 who just walked by were people of the extreme cold. They were too lazy to take off their camouflage and walked away on the street. I see. Okay. Yi Xiaowu smiled and agreed to the non-smiler's suggestion. This guy, what the hell is he thinking? Although the non-smiler had convinced Yi Xiaowu, he was still uncertain in his heart because he couldn't figure out what Yi Xiaowu was thinking at all. He, as well as Silvermoon, actually didn't hide their intentions of wanting to get some benefits from him. Well, the non-smiler didn't believe that Yi Xiaowu didn't feel it at all. Just like a moment ago, when his stealth was directly seen through. How embarrassing. Although in the end he managed to bluff out an excuse that even the non-smiler felt was quite lame. Yi Xiaowu didn't seem to care. What the hell is he thinking? The non-smiler repeatedly pondered this sentence. Maple Leaf Tavern. The 5 people from the Child Elite Group sat at a table in a circle. Yutian Shenming was very depressed. Why is it that after we walked out of that tavern, climbed over the wall, and walked for a long time, the place we ended up in is still a tavern? Because the style of that tavern doesn't suit me, the Han family young master calmly explained. Didn't you say you had a plan? Don't tell me the plan is actually to continue drinking in another tavern? Yutian Shenming asked. Did I say something like that? The Han family young master asked back. Alright. Brother Yu hurriedly came out to smooth things over, stopping the Yutian Shenming who was about to explode. He said to the Han family young master. You didn't say anything about the plan, but you seem to have said that everything is under your control. That's right. The Han family young master nodded. How do you control it? Tell us a little so we have an idea. Brother Yu said. Do you remember how Sword Demon was easily found by them twice? The Han family young master said. Everyone nodded. How could it be that easy to find a person just like that? Could it be that Sword Demon made an appointment with them? The Han family young master said. Don't talk nonsense. The Sword Demon said helplessly. I think I've already said my conclusion before. They definitely have a special method that allows them to continuously track the coordinates of a specific player. It's like they've received a wanted mission. The Han family young master said. Yes, you said it before. Brother Yu represented his comrades and brushed off the Han family young master's slow pace. That's why I boldly say that the idiot just now didn't come to the tavern for no reason. He must have secretly done something. The coordinates of one of us are already in their grasp. The Han family young master said. Then who could it be? The others looked at each other. Maybe all of us. Brother Yu said. That shouldn't be the case. His skill should only be used on a single target. The Han family young master said. How can you be so sure? Because when Apple Vinegar dealt with the Sword Demon the second time, if he had a way to grasp all of our coordinates, then Apple Vinegar wouldn't have chosen to act at that moment, because he would know that we weren't far from him. This was also one of the reasons why I arranged for everyone to stand guard. It was to test whether or not they could grasp all of our positions. The Han family young master said. You didn't say anything at the time. Yu Tianxunming curled his lips. You just made it up at the last minute, right? The Han family young master didn't say anything. He just glanced at Yu Tianxunming like he was looking at an idiot. Unscathed in battle shook his head at the side. What a young man, interrupting at a time like this. Isn't he just asking for trouble? Look at Grandpa and I won't say a word. Zhang Wuxiang gritted his teeth as he thought about it. It was actually quite painful for him to endure it. This was because young Master Han's tone and demeanor were all stimulating to the point where you wanted to jump out and refute him. However, you would immediately be despised after doing so. It was obvious how vicious his intentions were. So what you're saying is that the person that the other party has the coordinates of is their next target. But will the other party act like how they dealt with the Sword Demon, and wait for him to be alone? Brother Yu said. The Han family young master nodded his head. But the problem this time is that we don't know who the other party's target is, so we can't make arrangements like last time with the Sword Demon. Brother Yu said. Moreover, he helped Silver Moon escape and helped collect equipment. It's obvious that he's also recruiting people. Currently, we know of Apple Cider Vinegar, Broken Water Arrow, and Silver Moon. If the three of them attack together, I don't think any one of us will be able to fight one against three. Sword Demon said. Yu Tianxunming carefully asked. When you say we, does that include Qianli? Don't talk nonsense, okay? Everyone scolded together. Apart from these three, I'm sure there's another one. Han family young master said. There's another one? Who? Everyone asked. I don't know who it is, but I'm sure he exists. Why? The first time, the Sword Demon was killed the first time they found him. Death will remove any status on the body. This is common sense. I believe that this mark is no exception. However, after that, the Sword Demon still brought the mark and led them to the tavern. At that time, Idiot Broken Water Arrow and Apple Cider Vinegar were still in the forest. So there must be another person. It must be the person who gave the resurrected Sword Demon this mark at the Thieves' Guild. Chapter 554. While everyone was reminiscing, they turned their gazes toward Sword Demon. Sword Demon shook his head and said, I don't know. Of course you don't know. We were just used in front of everyone who would know. Han family young master said. That's just your deduction, right? How can you be so sure? Yu Tianxunming said. Then go out and take a stroll. I hope the one who was marked is you. Han family young master said. Pfft, I don't like to go shopping. Yu Tianxunming said. And this isn't a secret. Han family young master nodded his head. The gloomy Yu Tianxunming wanted to roar a few times, but he was stopped by Brother Yu. After recalling all the details, Brother Yu also realized the existence of this problem. Speaking of which, he was quite ashamed. As the intelligence king, he was good at gathering information, but his analysis of information was far inferior to Han family young master. This situation was also based on the game settings. Brother Yu felt that he should have this level of skill to be worthy of being called the intelligence king. Who do you think he'll mark? Brother Yu said. Han family young master sized up the 4 people at the table, and slowly said, without a doubt, if it's not Yutian, then it's Wuxiang. Why? Yutian Shenming felt that Han family young master was definitely trying to scare him. In terms of importance, this young master is of course the undisputed core. The hissing made Han family young master have no choice but to stop, quietly waiting for them to finish hissing, then nonchalantly continued. But this young master's core position isn't something that can be taken away by a mere drop in level, even if it's level 0. So he should be clear that it's meaningless to make a move on this young master. What greeted him was a new round of hissing. Similarly, Brother Yu is unlikely to be chosen as a target. The value of Brother Yu's information has nothing to do with level, and Brother Yu's actual combat value. If it's actual combat value, no one would choose Brother Yu, right? Brother Yu's face was covered in tears, but he couldn't refute it. Plus, this isn't a short battle, but a long battle of attrition. No matter how you look at it, it'll only weaken our combat strength by reducing our combat members. Han family young master said. There's still Sword Demon. Yutian Shenming was unconvinced. Sword Demon was lurking outside the door at the time. Thank you. They can't even have anti-stealth equipment or skills. Yutian Shenming said. Sword Demon is level 40, that idiot is level 36. There's a difference of 4 levels. What do you think are the chances of him detecting Sword Demon? Han family young master asked. There's always a chance. Yutian Shenming argued. Chance my ass. Han family young master typically didn't want to argue with Yutian Shenming. Then, between Yutian and Wuxiang, which one would it be? Brother Yu interrupted again. I think it's Wuxiang. Han family young master looked towards Unscathed in Battle. Unscathed in Battle, who had been clenching his teeth in silence, finally couldn't help but ask, why? The young master of the Han family raised a finger. Firstly, an annoying child like Yutian, no matter the reason or the circumstances, as long as there is a choice, no one would choose him, right? I agree. Unscathed in Battle nodded solemnly. Agree my ass. Yutian Shenming shouted. Second, Han family young master raised the second finger. Take a guess. No one liked to humiliate themselves. Everyone kept their mouths shut. Brother Yu opened his mouth to indicate his abstention. What's the second? It's so obvious. Can't you see? No one would choose an annoying kid. Of course, they can only choose Wuxiang. Everyone was so depressed that they wanted to bang their heads against the wall. Is there a third? Only Brother Yu had the willpower to continue being fooled by Han family young master. Okay. Third, the ability to survive ambushes. It's easier for an archer to escape if he's not instantly killed in the first round. As for a warrior, although he may not fall under a round of attacks, he's the counterattack type in the face of ambushes. It's difficult to escape unscathed if he doesn't completely defeat the enemy who ambushes him. As far as we know, as long as we work together, it's enough to take down Wuxiang. So we can ignore Wuxiang's counterattack. Ambushing Wuxiang can be said to be a surefire choice. This reason is a bit far-fetched. It's not that easy for an archer to escape, Brother Yu said. But don't forget that this is Forest Shade City. In that forest, it's easier to escape than to find someone, right? Han family young master said. Yes. So as long as he's rational enough, Wuxiang should be the first choice. Han family young master spread his hands. Then we'll make a little arrangement, and let Wuxiang be the bait. When they take the bait, we'll catch them all in one fell swoop, Brother Yu said. Brother Yu, you're really ruthless. Unscathed in Battle was gloomy. If you die this time, I'll double your points, Han family young master announced. Yeah. Sword Demon, who was in charge of keeping score, also nodded. Is my life only worth this little? The dignified number 1 warrior in the online game, who was also number 2 among the top 10 warriors in the parallel world, turned out to be a sacrificial pawn in the child elite group. Unscathed in Battle's heart was broken. Not bad. Even if Brother Yu wanted to fight for this kind of opportunity, he wouldn't be able to get it, Han family young master said. Brother Yu turned his head, pretending not to hear. Let's go. Han family young master stood up and waved. Hey, aren't we going to wait for Qianli to come online tonight? Unscathed in battle hurriedly said. Gu Fei was naturally a huge boost to their morale. A long night is fraught with dreams. If we drag it out until then, the other side might lose their patience, or his skill might have a limit, Han family young master said. Wouldn't that be good? Unscathed in battle said. You have to understand, right now it's not them scheming against us, it's us setting up a trap and waiting for them to take the bait. Be more excited, be more spirited, don't look half dead. Han family young master said. Of course you guys are spirited. Unscathed in battle continued to cry. Don't worry, we'll be close by, you won't die, Sword Demon said. Don't go too far. Unscathed in battle repeated this sentence 54 times from when they walked into the forest to when they were all set up. Han family young master and the others stood in their positions. Don't go too far. They received Unscathed in battle's message in the mercenary channel, reminding them for the 55th time. Is everyone in position? Han family young master asked. In position? Everyone replied. All right, Comrade Wu Shang, I'll tell you now. In order to prevent the other side from noticing our presence, we'll be quite far away from you. So you have to be on high alert. Once you're ambushed, send a message in the channel, and we'll hurry over. Try your best to hold on, Han family young master said. Fuck, what if I can't hold on? Unscathed in battle asked. Then you'll win a large reward of double the points of our elite party. It'll be the first time in our history that's happened, Han family young master said. Just fight the monsters like you normally do, Han family young master said. Oh. Unscathed in battle could only helplessly reply, and began to fight the monsters with his sword. As time passed, the 4 people around Unscathed in battle paid attention to their surroundings, and chatted casually. Can you guys be quiet for a while? Unscathed in battle said unhappily when he saw these people irresponsibly occupying the mercenary channel, which was related to his level and experience. He was really afraid that when he sent out a distress signal, his screen would be flooded with messages. That would be such an unjust death. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, day, night, and day again in the game. No one was talking in the channel, other than the sounds of Unscathed in battle killing monsters. There was only silence. In the end, the silence was broken by Gu Fei's voice in the channel. I'm here. What's the situation today? Fuck, even Qianli is online. Yutian Shiming finally couldn't take it anymore. This meant that they had been waiting for an entire afternoon, but there was still no sign of the other party. In order to avoid being looked down upon, no one dared to voice out their doubts about Han family young master's deduction. But seeing that it was already this late, they couldn't take it anymore. What is the other party planning? Not going to make a move? Brother Yu said. Gongzi, you must have made a mistake, right? Yutian Shenming said bluntly. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. This was the kind of youth that was used to describe. In the channel, Han family young master didn't have any reaction at all. Sword Demon Gongzi? Brother Yu called out. Here. Sword Demon quickly replied, but there was still no news from Han family young master. What's going on? Everyone became nervous. Gongzi. Brother Yu called out in the channel, and sent another private message, but there was still no reply. Where is he? Everyone was confused. What's going on? Gu Fei, who had just come online, didn't know the whole story, but he saw that the group of people in the channel couldn't seem to find the existence of Han family young master. What's going on? The few of them continued to call out as they ran towards the coordinates of Han family young master. In order to cooperate, everyone's location was known to the others beforehand. In the end, they saw Han family young master leaning against a big tree, with a thick straw mattress on his body, and a bottle of wine in his arms. His entire body reeked of alcohol, and he was sleeping comfortably. Fuck. Yutian Shenming raised his leg, wanting to step on Han family young master's head. No one stopped him. Everyone was jumping with joy in their hearts, hoping that Yutian Shenming would be able to step on him. However, at the last moment, Yu Tianxinming still retracted his leg, and lightly kicked Han family young master twice to wake him up. You're all here. Han family young master opened his eyes. Everyone was speechless, and didn't know what to say. They didn't appear, right? Han family young master said. Everyone's faces were still dark. If that's the case, then their judgment isn't as good as I thought, and I overestimated them. It's a bit difficult for me, who has transcended mortals, to think in their shoes. Next time, I'll let you mortals make this type of deduction. Han family young master said. Is it because the other party didn't leave any marks? Yu Tianxinming said. No, it's because they didn't leave their mark on Wuxiang like I expected. They should have already been here, but when they saw our positions, they knew that we were prepared, so they quietly retreated. I'm too smart, but it led to an error in judgment. It's really sad. Although Han family young master said this, his expression was clearly intoxicated, and not sad at all. Chapter 555. The other four didn't know what to say. They could only stand there silently, and watch as Han family young master got up from his temporary bed made of straw. If the target isn't Wuxiang, then who is it? Han family young master asked the four of them. The four of them kept their mouths shut, and didn't say anything. Han family young master's gaze stopped on Yu Tianxinming. Yu Tianxinming turned his head and pretended not to see anything. Are you deducing with the wisdom of a mortal? Brother, you couldn't help but ask. Using the wisdom of a mortal? Han family young master revealed a pained expression. I can't do that. The four of them clenched their teeth. Sword Demon was the last to speak. Let's go to the resurrection point and log off for a while. The status in the parallel world will be erased after logging off. What do you mean by beating them at their own game? Forget it. Boss Sword Demon's idea is indeed reliable. The other three praised sincerely. Since you guys like this method, I don't have any objections. Han family young master said. Let's go. The four of them prepared to leave the forest. You're not going? Sword Demon realized that Han family young master didn't seem to be preparing to leave with them. The target can't be me, Han family young master said. Maybe the other party's actions are very ordinary. Then it might be you. Brother, you was an expert in smoothing things over. You're right. Han family young master nodded. After all, I'm not the target without a reason. Really? What reason? Brother, you put his hand on Han family young master's shoulder and asked casually. Jealous of my beauty? Han family young master said. Brother, you laughed dryly. His hand that was on his shoulder stiffened. Let's go. Yu Tianxinming and Unscathed in Battle urged. The five of them left the forest together. On the other side, Gu Fei still didn't know what had happened here. As he urged, Brother Yu briefly described what had happened. When Gu Fei heard that he didn't miss out on any good show, and instead he avoided a disaster, he rejoiced in his heart. At that moment, he suddenly received a new message. He opened it and saw that it was from Fireball, whom he had not contacted for a long time. Brother Zue, something big has happened. What is it? Gu Fei was very excited. He wanted to see the world in chaos. We were ambushed in Baishur, said Fireball. So exciting. Gu Fei was envious. Why didn't anyone plot against him? It wasn't easy for someone to target him, but in the end it was his friends. This was too disappointing. A few of our brothers died. If I'm not wrong, the enemy's target seems to be Mang Mang. Fireball said. Oh, who are they? I don't know. They're all masked. Standard class pairing. Fireball said. Standard class pairing was a technical term in the parallel world. It meant that apart from Grandmaster of Combat, the other 6 classes had a team. Even Gu Fei knew this. Baishur, right? I'll be there as soon as I can. Gu Fei said. Or if you're busy, you can lend me your equipment. Although it was just a message, Gu Fei could imagine Fireball's perverted smile. So this was this guy's real intention. Did he just want to borrow his equipment to show off? Are you okay or not? Gu Fei was annoyed. Maybe this guy just wanted to borrow his equipment to show off and pick up girls. If there really is something, you can ask Yu Zai and Mang Mang. I'm just afraid that you're busy. Fireball said. I'm not busy. I'll be right there. Gu Fei wasn't being stingy. He just didn't want to miss a scene like this. Hey, after talking to Fireball, Gu Fei immediately sent a message to Slender Waist Dance. What? Slender Waist Dance's reply was full of alertness. Do you still have a teleportation scroll? Gu Fei asked. Fuck. Slender Waist Dance had already faintly sensed that Gu Fei never did anything good when he looked for her. Under normal circumstances, she would have to spend a bit. Where are you now? Gu Fei said. Still in Forest Shade City. Slender Waist Dance said. She also came with Gu Fei and the others. She was still playing here, and wasn't in a hurry to go back. What a coincidence. I'm here too. Gu Fei said. Get lost. Slender Waist Dance scolded. Lend me a scroll. Gu Fei said. What are you doing? Slender Waist Dance asked. A friend in Baishur is in trouble. I'm going to help. Gu Fei said. I'm going too. Slender Waist Dance hurriedly said. If they were looking for Gu Fei's help, it would definitely be a PK type of activity. Slender Waist Dance also liked to join in the fun. Gu Fei hesitated. If Slender Waist Dance went, she would definitely fight with him for people to kill. This wasn't what Gu Fei wanted to see. Otherwise I won't give you the scroll. Slender Waist Dance saw that Gu Fei didn't respond for a long time, and threw another sentence over. Baishur and Forest Shade City were just neighbors. They also had to fly there. Obviously, they were in a hurry. Okay. Gu Fei had to reluctantly compromise. Where are you? Slender Waist Dance reported the location. Then let's meet at the mailbox in the north. Gu Fei said. Why are we going there? Don't we need to send it to someone to make the coordinates? Gu Fei asked. No need. I have ready-made ones in Baishur. Slender Waist Dance said. When did you get them? On the way back to Cloud City. I booked one in each main city. Slender Waist Dance said. You. How many scrolls do you have? Gu Fei was surprised. This thing seemed to be a rare item in Brother Yu's mouth. Why did it seem like a daily item to Slender Waist Dance? Gu Fei couldn't help but sigh. It's good to be rich. The two immediately arranged a new place to meet in the middle of the two's current time slot. Gu Fei hurried on his way, but he hadn't sent enough messages. He selected a person in his friend list and sent another message. I'm going to Baishur. Yi Xiaowu, who received this message, was very depressed. There should be a limit to being arrogant. Yi Xiaowu thought gloomily. He closed the message fiercely and ignored it. Did you receive it? As a result, Gu Fei sent another confirmation message. Fuck. Yi Xiaowu closed it fiercely again and didn't reply. After meeting with Gu Fei, Slender Waist Dance didn't say much. She took out a scroll and shook it. The teleportation array appeared. The two of them flashed and disappeared. Baishur. Gu Fei, who had teleported, looked around and immediately sent a message to Fireball. I'm here. Where are you guys? What's going on? Brother Zue, you can't be so swift and decisive? Fireball was a little dumbfounded. It had only been 10 minutes since he sent a message to Gu Fei. Hihi, where are you? Gu Fei asked again. Fireball helplessly reported the coordinates. Hurry here. Gu Fei passed the coordinates to Slender Waist Dance. Slender Waist Dance immediately disappeared as if she was flying. Gu Fei couldn't outrun her, so he didn't pay much attention to her and calmly followed behind. After a while, he received a message from Slender Waist Dance. What are you going there for? The vast expanse. They ran into some trouble here, Gu Fei said. He didn't know if Slender Waist Dance knew Fireball and the others, but she should know about the vast expanse. Then what are you dawdling for? Hurry. Slender Waist Dance waved her claws at Gu Fei from dozens of meters away. Gu Fei was very depressed. In her eyes, who could be considered not dawdling? The coordinates were already in front of them. Gu Fei was about 100 meters away when he saw Slender Waist Dance lift her leg and kick open a door beside her. She yelled, Mang, I'm coming to save you, and rushed in. Be careful. Gu Fei yelled from behind. Slender Waist Dance's figure had long since disappeared. The other party was an all-class team, and there were at least 6 people. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and the others weren't too weak. The fact that they were forced to this extent meant that they were quite strong. Although Slender Waist Dance was top-notch, Gu Fei still felt that it was a bit too rash to just rush in like this. Not long after, Gu Fei finally arrived in front of the house. He looked up and was surprised to find that it was actually a tavern. The tavern was a place with a lot of people. It was common for people to suddenly start a fight here, but people who were looking for trouble would rarely choose to do so in a place like this. Seeing that it was a tavern, Gu Fei's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Could it be that Fireball and the others had gotten into a fight because they were harassing a girl? And in the end, the other party came to harass Mang Mang as revenge? It would be a bit awkward if he came to help out in something like this. Gu Fei carefully pushed open the tavern's door and poked his head inside. Everything was normal in the tavern. There were no signs of a fight. Just as Gu Fei was feeling puzzled, he heard Slender Waist Dance yelling at the top of her lungs. "Leave this to me. I'll kill whoever comes. If there's a team, I'll kill them all." Gu Fei looked in the direction of the voice and saw Slender Waist Dance giving a speech while standing on a stool. He saw the vast expanse, saw Tsubasa Sakuratsuka, and also saw Fireball and a few others drooling as they looked at Slender Waist Dance. Something big happened? Gu Fei drew a big question mark in his heart and walked over. "Brother Zui." Fireball hurriedly got up to greet him as a hint of fear flashed across its face. What's going on?" Gu Fei stretched out his hand and gestured at the scene in front of him. Wasn't this just an ordinary gathering in a tavern to drink and chat? What kind of big matter was this? "It's a long story." Fireball smiled. On the other side, Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and Boundless Mang were also looking at Gu Fei in surprise. "Brother Zui, why are you here?" Tsubasa Sakuratsuka asked. Gu Fei stared intently at Fireball. Fireball lowered its head and secretly wrote a message to Gu Fei. "Brother Zui, there's a guy over there who's also a mage. He's very arrogant. I wanted to borrow your equipment to show off." "Then why don't you just say it?" Gu Fei did not know whether to laugh or cry. It turned out that he had not misunderstood Fireball. Although he did not want to borrow equipment to show off and pick up girls, bickering with someone was really boring. "But now that you're here, Brother Zui, you can give him a cruel blow," Fireball said with excitement. "That won't be necessary," Gu Fei said. "I've already dealt a blow to that guy a long time ago." Gu Fei had already recognized the mage that Fireball was referring to. That person was also glaring at Gu Fei. It was Boundless Mang's old friend from Moonlit Night City. Gu Fei had also seen him in Forest Shade City during the Raining the Four Seas quest. "Is that so?" Fireball's face immediately lit up when it heard this. It stood beside Gu Fei with its back straight. "What's going on, Fireball?" Tsubasa Sakuratsuka could also see that Gu Fei's arrival might be related to Fireball in some mysterious way. "It's nothing, Brother Zui is also passing by with Miss Mang, right?" Fireball said. Gu Fei smiled helplessly and nodded. "Passing by." Slender Waist Dance was the one who was confused. I guess so." Gu Fei said. "You wasted one of my scrolls." Slender Waist Dance lunged at Gu Fei, ready to strangle him. Chapter 556. Calm down. Gu Fei hurriedly dodged Slender Waist Dance's attack, hoping that Fireball and the others would come and help her. However, when he looked at them, he saw that they all had envious looks on their faces. From the looks of it, they probably considered dying in the hands of a beauty like Slender Waist Dance to be a pleasure. Slender Waist Dance attacked a few times, but she couldn't hurt Gu Fei. There were so many people around, and she didn't want to be watched like a monkey, so she gave up. Gu Fei let out a sigh of relief. Slender Waist Dance's attacks were quite difficult to deal with, but he couldn't really kill her with a backhand slash, could he? However, it was hard to say if this woman knew how to control her strength like he did. "Are you alright? Didn't someone want to trouble you?" Slender Waist Dance asked Boundless Mango. Boundless Mango didn't answer, but looked at Fireball again. Helpless, Fireball could only confess, "I called Brother Zui." "Is it really necessary?" Sakurazuka Tsuzum said in surprise. "That's right, I'd like to see who's so daring to touch Boundless Mango's finger in my territory." Boundless Mango's old friend, Mage Lani, spoke. Gu Fei finally understood the truth of the matter. Obviously, Fireball wasn't lying. They were indeed in trouble, but it wasn't serious enough for Gu Fei to come and solve, especially when Boundless Mango had such a strong friend. Fireball was most likely unhappy with the arrogant attitude of Lan Yi, who was born in Moonlit Night City. That was why he wanted to borrow Gu Fei's equipment to put a stop to his arrogance. Fireball could only blame himself for not knowing Gu Fei well enough. If he wanted to describe the situation, Gu Fei would think that he was seducing him even if he didn't see it as a call for help. How could he not come and participate in the PK event? At this point, Fireball naturally didn't have the face to take Gu Fei's equipment. Seeing that everyone was in the mood to kill him, he quickly laughed. Long time no see, let's get together. Isn't that right, brother Zue? Quick, sit down. Fireball fawned over Gu Fei. In his heart, he felt that Gu Fei was the one he felt most apologetic towards. As for Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and the others, even though they were pretending to despise Fireball, in fact, Tsubasa Sakuratsuka had just sent Fireball a private message. Well done. It was clear that he had long since disliked Lan Yi's arrogance. However, he was unable to do anything due to the boundless Mang Mang's feelings. What Fireball had done was undoubtedly very much to his liking. It wasn't good for him to stand up for himself, so this was the perfect opportunity for Gu Fei to suppress him. Fireball squeezed an empty spot for Gu Fei, and purposely arranged for him to be directly opposite of Lan Yi. Then he courteously let Slender Waist Dancer sit next to Gu Fei, and he proudly stood behind her. In his eyes, this was the super equipment of a hero and a beauty. In comparison, Lan Yi was just a country bumpkin. Did he still have the face to act all high and mighty? Gu Fei didn't have so many random thoughts. He turned his head and asked the people beside him. What happened? A few guys appeared out of nowhere and suddenly attacked us. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka said. Is everyone okay? Gu Fei couldn't figure out whether Fireball was exaggerating when he said that a few people had died. A few died. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka said with a slightly depressed expression. Gu Fei glanced over and roughly understood a little more. It was clear that when Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and the others encountered trouble, the situation was quite dangerous. This Lan Yi appeared in time to help them escape. It was a pity that his arrogant attitude really made people unhappy. The target was you? Gu Fei asked Boundless Mang Mang. It seems so, said the vast Mang. It must be that bastard Yin Zhongmu. Lan Yi suddenly slammed the table, scaring Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and the others. He cursed in his heart. If it was him, he wouldn't hide his head and face like this. He would definitely openly use their banner. Boundless Mang said. Yeah, I also think they don't need to wear masks, Gu Fei said. Apart from them, I don't seem to have any other enemies. Vast Mang Mang said. Enemies don't need to cover their faces, do they? Gu Fei said. Yes. Mang Mang nodded. He's a robber. Gu Fei was excited. This kind of guy didn't feel any guilt killing him. It was the most satisfying. Why are you so excited? Slender Waist Dancer asked. She wasn't the only one. Everyone at the table looked at Gu Fei suspiciously. Gu Fei hurriedly calmed down and said in an extremely calm voice. Yeah, actually, it's possible that he's an enemy. For example, someone who doesn't have the strength to deal with you. So he hired a mercenary group or something. Do you have an enemy like that? Tsubasa Sakuratsuka asked. I don't think so. Boundless Mang Mang wasn't too sure herself. Back in the day, who knew if there was someone who bore a grudge against her until now? If it was someone without an organization or backing, then it wasn't impossible for the possibility that Gu Fei had mentioned. Who cares who he is? If he has the guts, then come again. Watch me show him. Lan Yi slammed the table again. That's right. The sound of slamming the table unexpectedly rose and fell, scaring Gu Fei. Only now did he know that half of the people in the tavern were Lan Yi's men. It was no wonder that Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and the others had such ugly expressions. The other side's power was quite strong. I say, how many people did they have? Gu Fei asked. 6 at the time. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka said. 6. Gu Fei glanced around the room. Just Lan Yi's group alone had an estimated 60 people. There's no need to make such a big scene. How would they come like this? That group of grandsons. I'd like to see if they still dare to come. Lonnie said. What if they don't come? Gu Fei scratched his head. Brother Zui, what do you mean, you're hoping for them to come? Tsubasa Sakuratsuka asked carefully. Of course, aren't you guys? Gu Fei asked. Normal people wouldn't hope for someone to come and kill them, right? Tsubasa Sakuratsuka was still careful. If they come to kill us, then we'll just kill them, Gu Fei said. Yeah. Slim Waist Dance nodded in agreement. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka understood. This was the thinking of the strong, and it wasn't the same as their wretched ways. What are you afraid? Lonnie glanced at Tsubasa Sakuratsuka. Just like how Tsubasa Sakuratsuka hated Lan Yi's arrogant ways, Lonnie also felt that these wretched people didn't fit in. Each and every one of them had shifty looks in their eyes. Lonnie really couldn't understand why Boundless Mang would hang out with this group of people. Grandsons are the ones who are afraid, Tsubasa Sakuratsuka said indifferently. He looked calm on the surface, but in his heart, he was cursing wildly. Since no one is afraid, then there's no need for so many people. Besides, we shouldn't just sit here. Let's take a walk on the streets. Otherwise, how will they find us? Gu Fei said. I agree. I also want to know who these people are. Boundless Mang said. Let's go. Gu Fei stood up. Since the people involved had agreed, then the opinions of others could be ignored. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and the others followed. Lan Yi and his brothers didn't want to fall behind either. In the blink of an eye, dozens of people ran onto the streets. From the other players' actions of retreating, wanting to lure the snake out of its hole like this was impossible. Brother, there's no need for so many people. Go do what you need to do, Gu Fei said to Lonnie. Although Lonnie wasn't willing, he saw Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and the others winking at him. It was clear that if he didn't agree, they would think that he was afraid. He immediately waved his hand. Everyone, go do what you need to do. I'll cover this side. A portion of these people didn't have much of a relationship with Boundless Mang. They came to give Lonnie face. Once they heard that there was no need, they immediately scattered without any hesitation. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka saw that they were so straightforward and didn't show any weakness. He waved his hand. Why are you all following me? Go play by yourself. These guys were never stubborn. They immediately acted as if they were liberated and happily went to collect information about the beauties in Baishur City. Gu Fei looked around. Those that could leave had already left. Only Lan Yi, Tsubasa Sakuratsuka, Fireball, and Slender Waist Dance were left. We also have 6 people just like them, Tsubasa Sakuratsuka said. If these guys don't dare to come, then they're too cowardly. Lonnie was still so arrogant even though he was alone. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and Fireball pouted. I hope they come quickly. Gu Fei couldn't wait anymore. The 6 of them walked in the middle of the street in a conspicuous spot. In the distance, there were more than one pair of eyes looking at the 6 of them. Every pair of eyes seemed to be filled with tears. Why? The few of them screamed in their hearts. Am I seeing things? That's Chinli drunk, right? Fire-blazing clothes asked the person beside him. You're not seeing things, Glue replied. After the battle at Xiaowu City, Jianan Yudo and the others left in a hurry. They did nothing but farm quests and monsters like crazy to level up. They were originally in the top 10, and had been working together for a long time. Their leveling efficiency was quite outstanding. Up until now, apart from Blackwater and Fire-blazing clothes who had lost more levels than the others, the rest had returned to level 40 and advanced to their classes. Glue, who had become a sharpshooter again, had Hawkeye, and continued to play the role of a scout. Everyone had a pained expression on their faces. Everyone was asking the same question. Why? What should we do? Fire-blazing clothes asked Jianan Yudo. Towards Gu Fei and the others, they didn't have any resentment, because they always knew what they were doing. As robbers, they were hated by both humans and gods. They were prepared to be hunted down and killed. As for Gu Fei, they had decided not to provoke him anymore. Who would have thought that this guy would jump out and obstruct their business again? This was the first business that Jianan Yudo and the others received after returning to level 40. They wanted to regroup, especially when they happened to encounter Mang Mang in Baishur City. Everyone thought that the god of luck had begun to take care of them. At that time, they were a little hasty, and those guys suddenly came to help. They had no choice but to retreat first. However, they didn't take this little setback to heart, and continued to wait patiently for an opportunity. But at this time, Qianli drunk suddenly appeared, which made them feel that bad luck seemed to be far away from them. Butterfly knot. Where the peach blossoms pass, not a blade of grass grows. Where Qianli passes, it's all tragedy. Chapter 557. Don't panic. Southsight Azure Sword was actually very depressed, but he still had to put on a calm expression. He knew that he was the backbone of the team, and had to maintain his composure. If even he panicked, the entire team would collapse in an instant. With Qianli's drunk here, we have to find Silver Moon to increase the price, Southsight Azure Sword said. As Jian Nanyu said this, he tried to guide them to think from a conventional business perspective. He wanted them to treat 1,000 miles of drunkenness as a problem that required a higher price tag, and not an insurmountable moat. How much? 20,000? Hualini's words revealed that he was extremely afraid of Gu Fei. There had never been a transaction that cost more than 20,000 gold in the entire parallel world. Southsight Azure Sword glanced at him, then at the others. He realized that his words did not seem to dispel their fears, so he continued, "Our target isn't Qianli's drunk. Although he's here now, he'll leave sooner or later. I don't believe that he'll follow Mang Mang around 24 hours a day. So there's no need to think about how scary he is. We just need to be patient. If he doesn't leave, we won't attack. We've experienced this many times. What's there to be afraid of? It's just that we need to avoid Qianli's drunk this time." After hearing Southsight Azure's words, the others gradually calmed down. Indeed, the target of the previous mission was the 1,000 miles drunk. Both parties had to fight each other head-on, which was why they were so unlucky. But now the 1,000 miles drunk was just an obstacle beside the mission target. Although it could be understood as an obstacle that couldn't be removed, it wasn't like they hadn't encountered similar obstacles in their career of robbing. Take Whitestone City for example. Southsight Azure's party had killed a vice guild leader here. When they first found him, he was farming monsters in the leveling area. At that time, the entire leveling area was filled with their guild members. There were at least 100 of them. Southsight Azure's party was naturally powerless against them. This situation was exactly the same as now, with Qianli's drunk by his side. In the end, they just had to wait patiently until the vice guild leader left the leveling area. There weren't that many guild members around him. At this time, they were just waiting for Qianli to get drunk and leave Mang Mang's side. That would be their chance to strike. The Nan is right. Glue was the first to nod. For now, we just need to maintain this distance and keep an eye on them. It's no different from usual. Everyone get to work. Jian Nanyu waved his hand, and everyone dispersed. When it came to tracking, Jian Nanyu and the others had their own methods. They rarely used the stealth method of staying close to the body. Instead, they used a large-scale tracking method. For example, this group of people were just casually walking on the streets at the lowest speed possible. Even the slowest priest could easily overtake them if he ran. The method Jian Nanyu and the others used was to judge the other party's direction in advance. Then they would take a detour and wait at the intersection in front of them. In this way, they would follow and monitor one by one. Moreover, they would maintain a distance so that they wouldn't arouse the target's suspicion. With a guy like Qianli drunk who knows us, everyone be careful. While Jian Nan instructed everyone, he sent a message to Silver Moon. Add 1,000 to the price for the vast and boundless matter. Why? Silver Moon was surprised. Qianli is drunk in Whitestone City, and he is right beside her. Jian Nanyu said. Impossible, said Silver Moon. That's the truth. If you don't believe me, you can come and see for yourself, Jian Nan said. Why wouldn't I believe you? Silver Moon was still very tactful. I'm just surprised that this guy was originally in Shady Forest City. 2 neighboring cities, it's not strange for him to come here. Is Qianli very familiar with the boundless Mang Mang? Jian Nan asked. I don't know. Only Silvermoon knew how he felt when he said those words. Although he was the one who ruthlessly left the vast expanse behind, when he learned that the vast expanse had chased him all the way to Cloud City, he was not touched, but rather a little proud. He thought of himself as a magnificent existence. He thought that whenever he turned around, he would see the girl stubbornly following behind him. As a result, when he elegantly turned around, what he saw was a raised middle finger. Only then did he realize that the girl had already drifted further and further away from him. What he thought of as gorgeous was only his wishful thinking. In the vast wilderness he had new friends, including his old enemy Qianli. At that time, Silvermoon was squatting in the knight's camp in Baishur City, counting how many people were preparing to gang rape her. Pay half of the newly added 1,000 gold coins as a deposit. Jiannanyu sent another message. Oh. Silvermoon replied blankly. Qianli was clearly in Shady Grove City when he was drunk. How did he suddenly run to Baishur City? Naturally, there was only one reason: to help. Thinking that there was such a strong person helping her in the vast expanse, Silvermoon's heart was full of depression, unwillingness and jealousy. Silvermoon sent a message to Yi Xiaowu. The person selling the staff changed his mind again, saying it's 4,000 gold coins. Why? Yi Xiaowu asked. To raise the price. What else can there be? Why don't we just give up? Silvermoon retreated in order to advance. He had already seen that Yi Xiaowu was not short of money. If he spent 3,000 gold coins to buy something, he probably wouldn't take it seriously even if he added 1,000 gold coins. It doesn't matter. 4,000 gold coins it is. Sure enough, Yi Xiaowu replied as Silvermoon expected. Okay. Silvermoon responded and ran to the mailbox to pay an additional 500 gold coins as a deposit to Jiannanyu. He didn't want Yi Xiaowu to know that it was actually such a transaction, so he paid the deposit first and then took it back from Yi Xiaowu. Even if Yi Xiaowu refused to let him handle it, he could ask Jiannanyu to accept it and then transfer it to him. Jiannanyu's credibility was still reliable. Also, Silvermoon continued to send messages to Yi Xiaowu as he hurried on his way. I received news that Qianli ran to Baishur City when he was drunk. I know, Yi Xiaowu said. Now he's alone. You see, isn't this an opportunity? Silvermoon was extremely vicious. It just so happened that Jiannanyu and his group were doing something there, so he wanted to take the opportunity to trick Yi Xiaowu into joining in and kill him with a borrowed knife. The opportunity is not ripe yet. It's difficult for us to fight Qianli head-on, even if he's alone, Yi Xiaowu said. We don't have many people, but I heard that he also had a dispute with someone over there. You see, this is equivalent to us having some more helpers, Silvermoon said. Oh, who is it? Yi Xiaowu immediately asked. I don't know the specifics. Silvermoon didn't dare to say the names of Jiannanyu and the others. He had already roughly seen Yi Xiaowu's way of doing things. He understood that if Qianli had any enemies, he would contact them and win them over. If he said Jiannanyu's name now and Yi Xiaowu went over, if the two of them really contacted each other, then the fact that he cheated money to buy equipment from Jiannanyu would be exposed. He would also violate the agreement that he couldn't sell information about Jiannanyu and the others when they were working together. Is that so? Old Duan is over there. I'll let him know first, Yi Xiaowu said. We can't miss this opportunity. Maybe they only need us to destroy Qianli's drunk. If we delay now, we'll be cut down by Qianli's drunk. At that time, even if we rope them in, our strength will be greatly weakened. If we gather a bunch of people who aren't even level 40, Silvermoon tried to bluff, but these words also poked at Yi Xiaowu's sore spot. In order to make peace with Gu Fei, he had spent a lot of effort to gather a few people, but they couldn't even open fire with the other party's team. They only faced Gu Fei and Sword Demon a few times, and they were already cut into pieces. Apple Vinegar wasn't even level 40, and Water Breaking Arrow was actually spared by the other party. Silvermoon's words weren't without reason. If they gathered a bunch of people who weren't even level 40, how could they fight against the other party? Yi Xiaowu was also quite depressed about what happened in the afternoon. He and Non-Smiler took the inescapable mark scroll and secretly looked for those guys. In the end, Not only did they not find the other party alone, but they also saw that they had set up an ambush. It was obvious that they had already noticed the existence of this mark skill. Yi Xiaowu had treated this mark skill as a trump card, thinking that it would be a sharp weapon from start to finish. He didn't think that after using it 2 or 3 times, the other party would already be clearly aware of it, making him deeply feel that the other party was far more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. Let's all go now and understand the situation while waiting for an opportunity to act. Isn't that better? Silvermoon continued to encourage. You're right. Yi Xiaowu finally nodded. I'm called Non-Smiler. Silvermoon hurriedly messaged Non-Smiler. Brother, Qianli in Whitestone City is drunk and alone. The opportunity for revenge is here. Alone? Just us? Non-Smiler was surprised. No, there's more. Anyway, hurry up and come, Silvermoon said. Non-Smiler didn't really trust Silvermoon, but at least he knew that this was a person who wouldn't jump into a fire pit by himself. Seeing that he was so confident, there was an 80% chance that there really was a chance. He hurriedly got busy. The 3 of them met. Silvermoon looked left and right, puzzled. Isn't there still apple vinegar? He's not going. Yi Xiaowu sighed. Why? Silvermoon asked. He likes to fight one-on-one. Yi Xiaowu said helplessly. Fuck, what day and age are we in? He's still playing one-on-one. Silvermoon was very disdainful. He liked to bully others with numbers. Teleport. Yi Xiaowu took out a teleportation scroll. Silvermoon didn't question what he said last time when he said there was only one. This person was rich and had the means. How big of a matter could a teleportation scroll be? A white light flashed and the teleportation was completed in an instant. Silvermoon quickly changed his equipment and covered his face. He didn't forget that there were still a lot of people in Whitestone City who wanted to kill him. Is old Broken Arrow here? Silvermoon had never seen Broken Arrow before, but when he called out his name, he felt a sense of familiarity. He didn't seem like a stranger at all. I've informed him, Yi Xiaowu said. Where is Qianli drunk right now? I'll ask around, Silvermoon said. Chapter 558. Where is Boundless Mang? Silvermoon quickly sent a message to Jian Nanyu. Why? You're here? Jian Nanyu asked. Yes. Right here. Hurry up and come take a look. If you see clearly that he's drunk with Qianli, hurry up and pay. Jian Nanyu sent a coordinate to Silvermoon. He felt very disappointed. Silvermoon actually suspected that he would blackmail him for 1,000 gold coins. He was indeed a scumbag. No. That's not what I meant, Silvermoon hurriedly said. Isn't Qianli drunk here? I was afraid that you guys would find it difficult to deal with him, so I brought a few brothers over to help. Do you think I would use a teleportation scroll to come over just for 1,000 gold coins? I'm stupid. Jian Nanyu thought that was true. It wasn't necessary to use a teleportation scroll for 1,000 gold coins, so he asked, what do you want me to help with? To deal with Qianli drunk, Silvermoon said. Who said we're going to deal with him? Jian Nanyu asked. Isn't he by Boundless Mang's side? Silvermoon asked. So we'll wait until he's gone. Jian Nanyu replied. Frankly speaking, Jian Nanyu felt that it was quite degrading to hide from someone like this. However, there was nothing he could do about Qianli drunk. No matter how unwilling he was, he still had to admit defeat. Although this might make people look down on their team, it was better than bragging. When someone came to buy Qianli drunk's life, they couldn't accept the deal. That would damage their reputation even more. No way you. Silvermoon was stunned. He didn't expect Jian Nanyu and the others to act like this. Is there a problem? Jian Nanyu asked. Silvermoon was speechless for a moment, but what was worse was his current situation. Yi Xiaowu and Non-Smiler had already been brought over by him, claiming that there was a chance, but in the end, no one had any intention of attacking Qianli drunk. Silvermoon's intestines turned green with regret. How could he be so impulsive? Where is Qianli drunk? Yi Xiaowu and Non-Smiler were still asking. Here. Silvermoon reported the coordinates he had just asked for. They've already started fighting? Yi Xiaowu asked. After listening to Silvermoon's analysis, He was now quite worried that these people would lose a level in the hands of Gu Fei. It was better to preserve the fire of harmony as much as possible. I don't think so. Silvermoon wiped his sweat. He didn't know how to explain to Yi Xiaowu and the others when Jian Nanyu and the others saw that Qianli was drunk like a dead man and didn't make a move. Then let's hurry over there. Non-Smiler, who didn't know the inside story, also egged them on at this time. Silvermoon was so angry that she cursed in her heart. Obviously, as long as there was a chance, the thought of not laughing and killing Qianli was also very urgent. The two of them ran towards the coordinates one after the other. Silvermoon had no choice but to follow behind them while planning how to explain herself when she didn't see anyone make a move. On the streets of Baishur City, Gu Fei's group of 6 had been strolling for half an hour, but they still hadn't seen the enemy. Gu Fei loved this sport, so he didn't show the slightest bit of annoyance and continued to walk patiently. However, the others weren't as calm as him. Everyone felt that it was extremely stupid to walk in a row like this. Hey, why aren't we walking? The few of them walked slower and slower. Gu Fei finally noticed and stopped to ask them. The few of them looked at each other. Fireball straightened his back. He was proud to be able to talk to Gu Fei at a time like this. Brother Zue, we're just waiting for them to show up. Why do we have to walk around like this? Isn't it the same if we wait in one place? Fireball said. Aren't we afraid that they won't find us? So we have to take the initiative, Gu Fei said. But the main city is so big. If we walk around like this, it'll be even harder to find us, right? Fireball said. You see, the situation is like this, Gu Fei patiently explained to Fireball. Now that they can't find us, they're so anxious. If they're anxious, they'll have to ask around on the streets. If they want to find us, they'll need more people to see us before they can find us. So we need to move around in a small area like this. Not only do we have to be seen by many people, but we also don't move too much, so that they can find us in time and accurately. Do you understand? Fireball froze on the spot, and the other 4 stood beside Fireball. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Gu Fei looked at the 5 of them, just like how he looked at his students in class. I think you're anxious because they can't find us, right? Slender Waist Dance said. Am I anxious? Brother Zue, you're indeed a little anxious. Fireball's expression was one of righteousness above family. Is that so? Then how about we walk around one more time and find a random place to wait? Gu Fei wanted to be a democracy. All right. Everyone could only nod. Although it was a little funny, Gu Fei's explanation to Fireball was correct. It was indeed a simple and effective method to avoid being found by an unknown opponent. Unfortunately, Southbound Azure's Words group didn't appreciate this simple method at all. After carefully and tirelessly following the 6 of them for 2 rounds, Southbound Azure's Words group naturally realized that they were just taking a meaningless stroll. What the fuck are they doing? Flaming Clothes was the first to lose her patience and roared in the team channel. After so long, Gu Fei still hadn't left. He was still wandering around, feeling a lot of pressure. Great South, what do you think? Glue said. They're waiting for us, Southbound Azure Sword said. You think so too? Yeah, they have the advantage in numbers. We can't pick a situation like that to make a move, so after they left the tavern, they purposely sent most of their people away, leaving only 6 people with the same number of people as us. Then, they purposely wandered around in this small area. They want us to notice them so we can make a move, Southbound Azure Sword said. Didn't they think that we've been watching them from the shadows? Flaming Clothes said. So what if we've been watching them? Let me ask you, if we didn't recognize one of them as Qianli's drunken, would we have already made a move against any of the 6? Southbound Azure Sword said. Yes. Flaming Clothes nodded. Apart from Qianli's drunken, they weren't afraid of any team with the same number of people, even if their levels were a bit low. The only one who could come up with this idea is Qianli's drunken. Only he would dare to look down on any opponent, Glue said. Motherfucker, Southbound Azure Sword cursed. Then what do we do? Flaming Clothes asked. Keep following them. I don't believe he'll be able to wander around for much longer. Southbound Azure Sword gritted his teeth. We can't PK, but we can't beat him in terms of patience. That's right. Let's compete in patience. Everyone was excited. They finally found a way to defeat Qianli's drunken, even though it was just a fantasy. In the end, Silvermoon was still the most hesitant one. She followed Yi Xiaowu and Non-Smiler to the location that Southbound Azure Sword had given them, but Gu Fei's group was nowhere to be found. Of course, Silvermoon didn't want to ask for Gu Fei's exact location. Instead, she tried her best to avoid it by saying, "I don't know the exact location. He might be nearby, or he might have left." Unexpectedly, she was right. Gu Fei's group was indeed nearby. Yi Xiaowu and Non-Smiler even used the method that Gu Fei had provided them. They asked the players nearby. The black robe wasn't unique, but with the addition of a dark purple top-grade longsword, Gu Fei naturally revealed all these characteristics in order to attract attention. Yi Xiaowu and Non-Smiler asked a few people, and soon found out what it was. This way, the two started to lead Silvermoon away. Silvermoon wanted to cry but had no tears. As they asked and walked, Gu Fei's signature equipment could be seen from 200 meters away. Of course, the other 5 people beside him also saw it. Yi Xiaowu and Non-Smiler turned around and looked at Silvermoon. Alone? Silvermoon scratched her head and looked innocent. How could this be? Let's take a closer look, Yi Xiaowu said. Silvermoon and Non-Smiler weren't afraid. They were still far away. They could recognize that it was Gu Fei because of his equipment. Silvermoon and the others didn't dress so differently, so they weren't afraid of being recognized by Gu Fei. Even so, Wuxia still very cautiously covered his face. When they got closer, they could roughly determine the other people's equipment. 3 mages, 1 priest, 1 thief, and 1 archer, Non-Smiler calculated. That priest. Non-Smiler recognized the boundless Mang Mang, and looked at Silvermoon with a strange expression. Silvermoon hurriedly signaled with her eyes. Although Non-Smiler didn't know why, he still quickly held back the second half of his words. It's a shadow priest, Yi Xiaowu added. He thought that Non-Smiler's confusion about the priest was because he found out that he was a rare shadow priest. Silvermoon immediately followed up. The mage on the far left is called Lani. His skills are quite good. As for the female thief, she's Slender Waist Dance. Slender Waist Dance. Yi Xiaowu and Non-Smiler exclaimed. Although they didn't know her, she was a famous person. Not only is her level high, but she's also very strong, Silvermoon said. Yes, her dagger dance wind is comparable to your Sword of Kings and Qianli's Drunken Knight sword. Although she doesn't have any skills, her damage output is very impressive. Her attack power is currently the highest. Yi Xiaowu said. Isn't it Qianli's Drunken? Silvermoon was surprised. I'm talking about weapons alone. The Night Sword's attack power can't compare to Dancing Wind, but Qianli's Drunken also has that Dark Spirit robe. Intelligence plus 20, magic proficiency plus 1, and magic damage increases by 10%. It's a standard mage equipment, especially with the magic proficiency plus 1. If he doesn't have this robe, he'll be like you without the ring of leadership. He won't be able to use the full power of his weapon, and his high damage won't exist. Yi Xiaowu said. Night Sword, Dark Spirit robe. Silvermoon muttered. Everyone in the game knew that Gu Fei's equipment had terrifying damage, but it was only now that Silvermoon knew the names of these 2 pieces of equipment. On the other hand, Non-Smiler was in a rather awkward situation. Back when Gu Fei had slashed him, wasn't Gu Fei the one who had killed a mage in a split second? Gu Fei had used an ordinary enchanted blade to trample on Non-Smiler. For a moment, Non-Smiler felt that he was so petty. Speaking of which, why are there swords in mage equipment? This was something that Silvermoon had been puzzled about for a long time. Chapter 559. That's not a mage weapon. It deals both physical and magical damage. In theory, it's for knights, especially dark knights, Yi Xiaowu said. Used by knights, especially dark knights. These words made Silvermoon's heart race. His class was undoubtedly a knight, and he wasn't even level 40 yet. After reaching level 40, he would have to change classes again. If he advanced into a dark knight and got his hands on Qianli's Drunk Knight sword, wouldn't he have even more terrifying power? While Silvermoon was fantasizing, Non-Smiler didn't want to be left behind. As a thief, he naturally fantasized about Slender Waist Dance's dagger, Dancing Wind. He didn't know Slender Waist Dance, but he had heard many legends about this woman. Beauty, money, and power were the three main themes. So it was because of this dagger. If he got it. The two of them gulped, attracting a strange look from Yi Xiaowu. He immediately realized he had lost his composure, and quickly calmed down. Where are the people you said were going to deal with Qianli's drunk? Yi Xiaowu asked Silvermoon. Silvermoon looked around, pretending to look for them. I don't know. I don't know them either. Have they been killed by Qianli's drunk? Yi Xiaowu frowned. Non-Smiler was even more direct, sending a message to Silvermoon. What the hell are you doing? Ever since they arrived at Whitestone City, Non-Smiler felt that Silvermoon was more and more unnatural. Damn it, it's a long story. I'll tell you later, Silvermoon replied. What do we do now? Silvermoon kicked the ball to Yi Xiaowu. Let's wait and see. Yi Xiaowu didn't say much. Non-Smiler could see Silvermoon's unnaturalness, and so could he. Silvermoon had tried her best to instigate everyone to come and deal with 1,000 miles drunk, but the current situation was like this. It could be seen that Silvermoon wasn't willing, which made Yi Xiaowu even more confused as to what Silvermoon was planning. He also knew that he wouldn't get an answer if he asked directly. He could only choose to wait and see. In the end, they were just a group of people who used each other to deal with Gu Fei. With Silvermoon's character, Yi Xiaowu also disdained to be friends with him. At this time, Gu Fei and the others had already completed the last lap that he mentioned. They chose a relatively spacious place to wait for the other party to appear. Apart from Gu Fei, the others were already showing signs of impatience. Does this group of grandsons not dare to come again? Lonnie said. He felt that the way he had let his brothers out was enough to frighten ordinary thieves, and make them give up on their thoughts of the boundless wilderness. If they were robbers, they wouldn't have given up so easily. Gu Fei said. You speak as if you know it very well? Lonnie looked at Gu Fei from the corner of his eyes. Although he no longer saw Gu Fei as an enemy, he did not see him as a brother so quickly. I've dealt with this kind of people a few times. Gu Fei nodded. Oh, then in your opinion, why haven't they made a move yet? Lonnie deliberately wanted to see Gu Fei make a fool of himself. It's already been so long. If they wanted to find us, there's no reason they couldn't find us. Gu Fei frowned. So they should be watching us from somewhere. The other 5 people immediately looked around. Anyone who made eye contact would be regarded as a suspect. It seems like there's only one reason why they haven't made a move yet. They're waiting. Gu Fei said. Waiting for what? Lonnie asked. Waiting for them to be alone. It seems like they don't want to have a direct conflict with us anymore. They want to wait for the boundless wilderness to make a move. Gu Fei said. Their strength isn't weak. Boundless Wilderness said. A standard team of 6 people. Their skills are excellent, and they cooperate well. Before, we had the advantage in numbers, but we weren't their opponents at all. If it wasn't for Lan Yi and the others arriving in time, it would have been bad. After that, we had the advantage in numbers, but they were able to escape unscathed with just 6 people. They're really strong. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka quickly added. They were saved by Lan Yi, which made him feel like he lost face. So he had to point this out. First, it proved that the other side was indeed strong. Second, it highlighted that Lan Yi and the others weren't that great. So many people couldn't stop the 6 people. If they didn't have so many people, the result would have been just as bad. Fuck, didn't you see? At that time, that mage used that skill to seal off the entire street. The 2 brothers we caught up with died. If it wasn't for that skill, would they have been able to escape? Lonnie heard the hidden meaning in Tsubasa Sakuratsuka's words. TSK. It means that your strategy wasn't good enough. Why didn't you cut off their escape route from the start? Tsubasa Sakuratsuka said. Fuck, how would I know where they would retreat to? Lonnie said. That's why I said, it's not good enough. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka didn't know what he was proud of. Alright, don't argue. Gu Fei saw that Lan Yi was about to shout again, so he hurriedly interrupted. You said that the mage used a skill to seal off the street. What kind of skill? A wall of fire. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka said. It's two. Lonnie saw it more clearly. It's actually a sea of fire. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka argued. Fuck you, brat. Lonnie couldn't take it anymore. He raised his hand and wanted to give Tsubasa Sakuratsuka a lightning spell. How could Gu Fei, who was also a lightning mage, not be unfamiliar with this action? He hurriedly reached out his hand and stopped him. I know who they are. Gu Fei said something that was enough to divert their attention. Who is it? As expected, even Lan Yi and Tsubasa Sakuratsuka immediately forgot about their argument and turned their heads to ask. Jian Nanyu. Gu Fei said. Everyone was startled. This name didn't need to be introduced too much. How do you know? Lan Yi asked. That wall of fire skill is called Fire Beacon City. It's the signature skill of the mage in Jian Nanyu's team, Flaming Cloak. I've fought with them many times and have seen it many times. They are professional robbers. However, from what I know, they only do business if they accept a job. Who is it that wants the equipment in your hands? Gu Fei said. Staff. Ever since Boundless Mang had fought his way to Cloud Peak City, he had been a plainly dressed, ordinary player. Apart from his ideal staff, he didn't have any other equipment on him that was worthy of professional looting. Let's not talk about this for now. Gu Fei said. If it's them, why haven't they shown up yet? I think I know. Why? Lan Yi asked again. Because of me, Gu Fei said. What do you mean? How do I say this? While Gu Fei was considering if he should be humble, Boundless Mang and the others already understood. Back in Linshui City, they even helped Gu Fei track down the whereabouts of Jian Nanyo's group. Later on, Gu Fei's group found the whereabouts of Jian Nanyo's group and continued to chase after them. In the boundless Linshui City, they reorganized themselves and continued to do their own things. At that time, Fireball carried a pile of PK points and stood at the Waterside City Tavern for more than 10 hours, becoming the laughingstock of their mercenary group. They saw that you were there, so they didn't dare make a move, right? Boundless Mang laughed. I'm afraid so. Gu Fei nodded. Brother Zue, you're too awesome. Fireball worshipped Gu Fei from head to toe. If it's them, then what we did before is pointless. They'll only make a move after I leave. Gu Fei said. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and leave. Slender Waist Dance chased Gu Fei away. They're not easy to deal with. Gu Fei's expression was serious. Child Elite Group often talked about this group of people, and their evaluation was quite good. To be able to gain the recognition of these top experts, Jian Nanyu's group of 7 was definitely not simple. What are you talking about? If you can deal with them, why can't I? Hurry up and disappear. Slender Waist Dance said. Okay, you guys be careful. Gu Fei could only agree and waved his hand to leave. Qianli is drunk and leaving. At almost the same time, Jian Nanyu's group and Yi Xiaowu's group passed on this good news. Follow him. The two groups gave the same order at the same time. The only difference was that Jian Nanyu only assigned Glue to follow Gu Fei, while Yi Xiaowu and the other two walked in the direction that Gu Fei had left. We can't be careless. Maybe this guy is purposely leaving to lure us into making a move, Jian Nanyu said. How does he know we're afraid of him? Horini asked. If he knows who we are. Jian Nanyu said. How could he know? You used Fire Beacon City before when we were retreating. If they talked about it, then Qianli would immediately know it was us. Jian Nanyu said. In other words, if he knows it's us, then Qianli will be able to guess our style. He knows we are hiding from him, so he left to make us show ourselves. If this is the case, then he is either pretending to leave and can come back at any time, or he thinks that the 5 people left behind are enough to deal with the 6 of us. Jian Nanyu analyzed. These 5 people? Even though Blackwater's group wasn't level 40 yet, they still felt that this was a joke. In the boundless wilderness, there's a shadow priest with weakened regeneration, and a shadow priest specialty that hasn't been revealed yet. There's also a disabled class. That archer is a lurker, so what use are the traps in the town? They're also disabled. Not to mention that little mage, he's just an ordinary character. That mage seemed to be something, but at that time, they only had a lot of people, Now that he's alone, how can he be as strong as Qianli when he's drunk? There's also that female thief. The priest in the group of 7, Dao Xiangmu, analyzed the remaining 5 people one by one. That female thief came with Qianli when he was drunk, Glu said. Female thief in a red dress. Jian Nanyu thought of the most famous female thief in the parallel world. Could it be the skinny waist dance? Flaming clothes revealed the correct answer. That Qianli is underestimating us too much. If we have to be overcautious when facing any expert, we won't be able to survive in the future, Jian Nanyu said. But in reality, he was also rather wary of the waist dance. It was just that he knew that his brothers had been continuously dealt a blow by 1,000 miles drunk, and their confidence was already on the verge of collapse. Encountering 1,000 miles drunk again in today's mission was, in fact, adding fuel to the fire. They had no choice but to avoid Qianli's drunk, because they knew that they were no match for him. But in the face of slim waist dance, if an opponent who had never fought before still chose to avoid it, avoidance would eventually become a habit. When that happened, it would be difficult for the team to regain their confidence. Chapter 560. Glu, leave this side to us. Keep an eye on Qianli drunk. It doesn't matter if he's really gone or not, report back to us at any time. As long as there's an opportunity, we'll attack immediately. Our target is vast and boundless, so don't get hung up on fighting. Understood. At such a crucial moment, no one would question Jian Nanyu's command. This was the quality of a mature team. Change your equipment and get closer. Mask yourselves. Jian Nanyu instructed. Both sides didn't know each other. Wearing masks would make it easier for the enemy to be on guard. The enemy was obviously waiting for them to show up. Jian Nanyu didn't want to launch a surprise attack. He only wanted to get closer to the target, so he could engage the enemy faster. After all, no matter what Gu Fei's intentions were, as long as he heard the news, he would come back to help. Jian Nanyu didn't want to give the enemy any time to wait for Gu Fei's return. In position. In position. In position. Following a series of messages in the channel, the 5 people in charge of the attack had chosen their positions. The 5 of them chose their positions based on their class and experience. They chose a position where they wouldn't be noticed by the enemy and could attack as quickly as possible. Jian Nanyu changed into a normal warrior's armor and walked out of the street at a leisurely pace. He looked like a normal player who was in a hurry. As he walked, he inadvertently caught sight of the other players who were in position. The Knight Invincible Lucky Star and the Cleric Inagami were less than 10 meters away from them. The 2 of them were focused on a street and didn't even look at the 5 players behind them. The flaming cloak could attack from a distance, so he didn't get too close. He squatted in front of a player's stall and seriously negotiated with him. Blackwater's position. Jian Nanyu looked around but didn't find the thief Blackwater. I want to get closer. Blackwater replied quickly. Let's take a gamble. Let's see if they have anti-stealth abilities. If you're discovered, pay attention to the direction of retreat. Jian Nanyu said. Understood. Coordinate with my forward speed. Of course. Jian Nanyu continued to walk forward slowly without batting an eyelid. The 5 of them formed a circle in the vast expanse, and they could see everything around them. Jian Nanyu, Invincible Lucky Star, Dao Xiangmu, and Huo Renyi were already in their sights, but they had not shown any intention to attack, so the 5 of them were not too vigilant. However, Jian Nanyu was slowly advancing toward the 5 of them. More and more of their gazes landed on Jian Nanyu. We're about to enter 2 meters, Blackwater said nervously in the channel. Based on the anti-stealth equipment and skills they had seen, 2 meters was a very dangerous area. Most of these skills and equipment had a limit of 2 meters. Step in, no movement. Blackwater's next message came in the blink of an eye. If everything goes smoothly, we should be able to end the battle in 10 seconds. Glu, where's Qianli Izui? Jian Nan asked. There's no way we can make it back in 10 seconds, Glu replied. Get ready. Jian Nanyu gave the order and suddenly sped up. In the vast expanse, the gazes of the 5 of them were already fixed on him. Jian Nanyu quickly changed his attire and drew his sword. The expressions of the 5 of them changed immediately. They knew that the person they were waiting for had finally arrived. The 5 people who were already prepared for battle reacted quickly. The arrow that Sakurazuka Tsukio had been holding for a long time immediately shot towards Kanami-yuki. Fireball and Lani also waved their staffs and chanted spells. Thunder fell from the sky. A sea of fire rose from the ground, and an arrow flew like a meteor. The 3 of them attacked at almost the same time, and their coordination was quite good. However, their opponent was a warrior. The 3 of them were not sure if their combined attack would be able to kill Jian Nanyu instantly. They were already preparing for the second round of attacks. However, Jian Nanyu was not going to sit and wait for death. Almost at the same time as the 3 of them attacked, he bent his knees and charged forward. He stepped on the sea of fire, and Tsubasa Sakuratsuka's snipe was blocked by Jian Nanyu's sword and shield. Lan Yi's lightning skill barely grazed Jian Nanyu's body and struck his back. Good lad. Watch me. Slender Waist Dance leaped forward, and was about to use Swift Step to circle around and attack Jian Nanyu when she suddenly felt something strange behind her. She shouted, "Behind you," in the vast expanse. Of course, only a stealth thief could sneak behind her without anyone noticing. Most people would be flustered when they heard the notification, and would not know how to dodge. However, Slender Waist Dance did not have this problem. The reason was that she only used one form of defense. When a normal player was behind a thief, they would be afraid of being stunned by sap or being stabbed in the back and killed instantly. Normally, a sap would hit the head and a backstab would hit the waist. Different parts of the body had different dodging methods. If a normal player hesitated for a moment, they would be hit. However, Slender Waist Dance did not have such concerns. She did not know what it meant to be killed instantly. If she knew it was a backstab, she would not have dodged it. She only needed to defend against sap. As for Slender Waist Dance, she had already gained some experience in dodging staggering blows. At that moment, when she noticed that there was something strange behind her, she did not hesitate at all. In the vast expanse, when she shouted, "Behind me," Slender Waist Dance twisted her body and fell to the ground. Blackwater's hand was indeed a big stick. No matter how famous Slender Waist Dance was, they had all heard about how strong she was. Moreover, when Qianli was drunk, he might turn around at any time. If they fought seriously with Slender Waist Dance, they would definitely waste time. Blackwater took the risk to sneak up to Slender Waist Dance, intending to give her a sap and quickly accomplish their mission in a few seconds when she was knocked out. Blackwater used to be a robber, so he was very good at sap. Whether the target dodged left and right, lowered his head or ran quickly, Blackwater was confident to hit the target's head accurately. However, Blackwater had never seen a dodging method like Slender Waist Dance, who threw herself on the ground. This dodging method was totally out of his scope of thinking. Blackwater was a little stunned, but he was still confident with the stick in his hand. Although Slender Waist Dance's head seemed to be a little far away, Blackwater still persistently chased after her head to hit it. However, before the stick hit her, Blackwater suddenly felt a heavy blow on his calf. He looked down and saw that Slender Waist Dance's feet kicked on his legs fiercely when she fell to the ground. This blow didn't cause much damage, but it took away Blackwater's balance. Blackwater, who was kicked by Slim Waist Dancer, was off the ground. He leaned forward and directly pounced on Slim Waist Dancer, who had fallen in front of him. No matter how good Blackwater's sap skill was, he had lost consciousness at this moment. Seeing the beautiful girl lying on the ground looking at him with a smile, Blackwater was at a loss. What? The beautiful girl wants me to take advantage of her? Blackwater had no doubt that he would throw himself on Slender Waist Dance. Even though he was not as wretched as his brothers who lived forever in the flower bush, he inevitably had such an idea at this moment. However, the next second, Blackwater had already cried. He saw Slender Waist Dance put her hands together, and her sharp dagger was standing proudly in front of her chest. Slender Waist Dance could kill people instantly without using any skills. She only needed one strike. Thinking of this terrible legend, Blackwater's heart was broken. He knew that he had no chance to throw himself on the girl at all. The moment he touched Slender Waist Dance, he would be turned into a ball of white light by that dagger. At this critical moment, A foot suddenly rushed out from the side and flattened the dagger in front of Slender Waist Dance's chest. Fuck! Slender Waist Dance, who was lying on the ground, shouted. Blackwater had seen people who didn't know how to be tender to the fairer sex, but today he saw the worst one. He ignored the beautiful girl, and even stepped on her chest. Slender Waist Dance was so depressed that she wanted to vomit blood, but she had no strength to resist. No matter how violent she was, she couldn't compete with a berserk warrior in terms of strength. Moreover, Azureblade wasn't an ordinary warrior. Slender Waist Dance played Blackwater like an idiot, but now she was trapped in her own trap, and made herself an idiot. Azureblade stepped on Azureblade, and waved his shield with his left hand, knocking Blackwater to the side. His right hand that was holding the sword also spun, and slashed at the boundless bushes. Run! It's Whirlwind Slash! Lonnie yelled at the side. Without Slender Waist Dance's interception, Azureblade finally rushed into their formation while withstanding their long-range attacks. Lonnie, who was experienced in PK, had already expected that he would use Whirlwind Slash, and his main target was obviously the boundless bushes. Lonnie knew that. How could he not see through the boundless bushes? However, when he saw Slender Waist Dance being stepped on by Azureblade, he didn't dodge. Instead, he buried his head and bumped into Azureblade, trying to create some openings to help Slender Waist Dance escape. Lonnie and the other 3 long-range classes had already hidden outside the attack range of Whirlwind Slash. At this moment, when they saw Azureblade's actions, they were shocked and hurriedly attacked Azureblade. However, with Slender Waist Dance and Azureblade entangling him, area of effect spells couldn't be used. Lonnie cast Lightning Spell and Fireball summoned Chain Fireball. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka shot his arrows directly. Azureblade moved his sword and shield to the side, and used his head to block a lightning spell. Let's see how long you can last. Lonnie roared and also summoned Chain Fireball. However, before his fireball arrived, a white light had already enveloped Azureblade. Following that, a string of blessing symbols appeared on his head. Dao Xiangmu and Unrivaled Lucky Star had already started working in an orderly manner. Blackwater was overjoyed. He felt that his side had the upper hand and wanted to deal with the 3 long-range classes. In the end, Azureblade glared at him and roared. What are you doing? Retreat. Qianli will be here soon. Blackwater was startled and hurriedly glanced at their channel. When he was preparing to use sap, there seemed to be a message, but he didn't look at it at that time. As expected, Glue had already shouted in the channel. Qianli suddenly disappeared. Hurry up. A silhouette suddenly flew up. Azureblade was originally just putting on a Whirlwind Slash posture, intending to scare Azureblade back a few steps. However, he didn't expect the girl to advance instead of retreating. This time, Azureblade didn't hold back anymore. Looking at the approaching figure of Azureblade, he suddenly slashed horizontally. This slash seemed to move by a very small margin, but it was a real Whirlwind Slash. Azureblade was slashed head-on, and immediately flew out like a kite with a broken string. On the other side, Lonnie and Tsubasa Sakuratsuka were very concerned about Azureblade. When they saw her being slashed away, their faces turned ashen. But then they found that Azureblade was still intact, and didn't turn into white light in the air. Both of them were relieved. It seemed that Azureblade's attack wasn't so terrible that it could kill someone in a second. While feeling lucky, they were about to rush over to help Azureblade. They had only taken 2 steps when they saw flames suddenly rise in the open space, and a ring of fire suddenly appeared in the sky. Fiery Garment, who was bargaining in front of the stall, held the gadget she had just bought in one hand and raised her staff to chant a spell. Azureblade. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka hurriedly shot an arrow at Fiery Garment. He hoped that this arrow could kill the sorcerer in a second, and make the 2 spells ineffective. But Tsubasa Sakuratsuka really didn't have that much confidence in his attack power. Lonnie also hurriedly waved his staff to chant. A glimmer of hope lit up in Tsubasa Sakuratsuka's heart. If Lonnie used Thunder and Fiery Garment used Snipe, it might be possible to kill a sorcerer in a second. But Fiery Garment wasn't that easy to deal with. She had already chosen a place to take cover. As soon as she saw someone was about to attack, she immediately hid behind it. Sakurazuka Tsukasa, who had mediocre archery skills, missed his shot and had a pained expression on his face. However, a strange thing happened at this moment. Just as he was about to fall into the sea of fire, the vast Meng Meng suddenly slowed down and flew slower and slower in the air. Finally, it floated in the air. The heavenly fire wheel that Fiery Garment had summoned had already descended, but Azure Blade didn't fall into the sea of fire. The buoyancy suddenly disappeared, and Azure Blade fell to the ground. Everyone's mouths were agape while they were dumbstruck. They didn't know why this scene was happening, and even the boundless expanse itself was at a loss. "I'm fine," Lonnie suddenly said. He turned his head and saw that Lonnie was sweating profusely and had a relieved expression on his face. He had just put down the magic staff that he had raised. "You did that?" Tsubasa Sakuratsuka asked. "Yeah." Lonnie nodded. "What skill? Why should I tell you?" Lonnie arrogantly looked at Tsubasa Sakuratsuka with disdain. "Are you two idiots? Why are you arguing now?" Slender Waist Dance, who was still being stepped on by Kenanyu, shouted angrily. Invincible Lucky Star was the closest to Azure Blade, and he was already charging toward it. Although he wasn't a powerful combat class, Azure Blade's Whirlwind Slash was enough to kill a cleric. Invincible Lucky Star believed that he could finish her off with a few more hits. "You idiot! Why didn't you let Azure Blade get closer to us?" Tsubasa Sakuratsuka rushed forward to save Azure Blade as he scolded Lonnie. "What the hell do you know?" Lonnie was furious. He tried his best to stop Azure Blade, but it wasn't easy to teleport a living person. Whoosh! A wall of fire suddenly appeared in front of the two of them, blocking their way. Fire Flaming Robe emerged from behind cover and cast spells to stop the two of them. "Fuck, kill him." Tsubasa Sakuratsuka had no choice but to cooperate with Lonnie. "I don't have any strength left," Lonnie roared. "Fuck you, piece of trash." Tsubasa Sakuratsuka wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He watched as the knight swung his sword at Azure Blade, who had just gotten up from the ground. Chapter 561. "Brother Zue, why aren't you here yet?" Fireball screamed in despair. His strength was undoubtedly the weakest among the five of them. Lonnie and Sakurazuka Tsukuzi were in a hurry to save him. Only the fireball was still under Kanami Yuki's feet, and there was one under his feet. At this moment, Fireball was dancing and singing around Jian Nanyu like a clown. He wanted to use spells to force Jian Nanyu to leave. However, Jian Nanyu dared to resist the attacks of 3 people, so why would he care about a single person? Moreover, he had a cleric with him. Sometimes he was too lazy to even block the spells that Fireball threw at him with his shield. "He's here." Gu Fei finally arrived at the critical moment. At this moment, the battle was at a critical moment. No one noticed where he came from. They only knew that when he suddenly appeared, he was already in a half-squat position in front of the boundless Mang. He raised his sword with both hands and received the slash from Invincible Lucky Star. Quite a bit of strength. Although Gu Fei's strength was not that great, Invincible Lucky Star did not increase her strength. 8 taels against half a kilogram, Gu Fei still managed to withstand the slash. As he spoke, he looked back expressionlessly. "Sorry." Boundless Mang was embarrassed. She was not prepared to wait for death. When she saw Invincible Lucky Star coming over, she immediately used her Shadow Priest's attack skill, Kiss of Death. However, Gu Fei appeared just in time. Her kiss landed on Gu Fei's body. Gu Fei turned around to show her his face, so that Boundless Mang could see that it was him, and stop messing around. Her eyes were not on Invincible Lucky Star. Her actions were completely directed at him. "You don't look familiar," Gu Fei said to Invincible Lucky Star as he got up and rushed forward. The blade of his sword brushed past Invincible Lucky Star's longsword, as if it was not obstructed at all. When Invincible Lucky Star turned into a ball of white light, the light on the Night Streamer sword surged and burned. Gu Fei's actions were too fast, so fast that he didn't even receive the answer to his own question. Turning his eyes, Gu Fei had already caught a glimpse of Flamethrower. When Flamethrower saw Gu Fei looking in its direction, it quickly shrank its head. While Gu Fei was debating whether to go up and kill it, Fireball was already shouting, "Brother Zue, come and help." Gu Fei didn't hesitate any longer. He hurriedly dragged the vast expanse of grass and rushed over there. At this moment, Jian Nanyu was so depressed that he wanted to die. He had been proud of stepping on the slender waist dance for a while, but now it was his turn to be trapped in his own trap. It was unknown how much defense this thin waist dance had. Jian Nanyu slashed her a few times, but she still looked fine. However, the anger in her eyes made Jian Nanyu have no doubt that once he released her, his fate would be extremely miserable. At this time, even the scarier Gu Fei had turned around. Jian Nanyu didn't dare to dawdle anymore. He suddenly stepped on the slender waist dance and stepped over her. The moment he released his foot, he immediately kicked her back. Jian Nanyu's strength was not to be underestimated. The slender waist dance was kicked straight toward Gu Fei. "Don't worry about me. Fuck you, bastard." The slender waist dance originally wanted to shout, "Don't worry about me." However, she realized that Gu Fei had no intention of catching her. When he saw her flying over, he immediately dodged to the side with super agility. The slender waist dance suddenly felt upset. She changed her words and cursed while falling to the ground with her face covered in dirt. "Are you okay?" The vast expanse of grass stopped and quickly checked on the slender waist dance's situation. However, Gu Fei continued to move forward bravely toward Jian Nanyu. Jian Nanyu couldn't help but feel a little sympathetic. Qianli was as unmoved by women as he was when he was drunk. He was really a real man. It was a pity that he had encountered a real man. How could he outrun Qianli when he was drunk? Retreat. Jian Nanyu did not move, but he gave the order. The others obviously knew that he was going to sacrifice himself to buy time for everyone to escape. Judging from the current situation, it was indeed the only choice. Jian Nanyu could not escape. Huo Renyi, who had been hiding, turned around and ran. When he realized that Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and Lan Yi seemed to still be interested in him, he quickly threw another firewall to force them to retreat. Blackwater and Dao Xiangmu had already carried out Jian Nanyu's order to escape. It was not difficult for them to escape. The situation of not being able to kill everyone in one fell swoop did not weaken Gu Fei's fighting spirit. The double flame flash appeared on his sword again, and he slashed at Jian Nanyu with his fangs and claws. Jian Nanyu did not show any weakness. He used charge in front of him with his shield. When Gu Fei saw that Jian Nanyu's shield was very low, he knew that Jian Nanyu was very serious about fighting him. When the two of them fought for the first time in Linshui City, Jian Nanyu also used charge. However, his shield was raised too normally. Gu Fei easily rolled under his shield with a trick from the Earth Hall Saber technique. It was obvious that Jian Nanyu had a deep impression of it. Unable to use the same trick again, Gu Fei dodged to the left of Jian Nanyu. Although Gu Fei did not know which angle he would attack with his sword hidden behind the shield, it would not be easy to attack the enemy on the left with the sword in his right hand. Gu Fei was confident that his sword would be faster than Jian Nanyu's. Dang! A loud sound was heard. Gu Fei's sword was indeed fast, but Jian Nanyu was not slow either. However, he did not use the sword hidden behind the shield to attack. He only flipped the shield in his left hand, and Gu Fei's sword hit the shield. Not good. Gu Fei cried in his heart. Jian Nanyu's charge did not stop there. After blocking Gu Fei's sword, he brushed past Gu Fei. His target was not Gu Fei, but the vast expanse. From the beginning to the end, Jian Nanyu was very clear about the purpose of this trip. Even if Gu Fei appeared, he would only be a huge obstacle. The focus of their attention was always the vast expanse. Jian Nanyu had just helped Slender Waist dance up in the vast expanse. Both of them thought that if Gu Fei attacked, Jian Nanyu would definitely be finished off in a few moves. They did not expect him to break through Gu Fei's attack. Slender Waist Dance's reaction was faster, and she pushed the vast expanse away. Jian Nanyu felt depressed, but he could not let this charge go to waste. He could only give it to Slender Waist Dance, the woman who ruined his plan. Slender Waist Dance could not dodge in time. She was hit by the charge and flew high into the air. White light. Fuck. Gu Fei was shocked. Although Slender Waist Dance was a girl, in his mind, she was an Iron Man that could not be killed no matter what. Her equipment could attack and defend, but he did not expect her to die in Jian Nanyu's hands at this moment. You teleported, right? Gu Fei could not believe it and messaged Slender Waist Dance. Teleport my ass. Avenge me. Slender Waist Dance's reply explained everything. No matter how high one's defense was, it was not limitless. Moreover, Jian Nanyu was not some random person on the streets. His attack power was also first-rate. When he was stepping on Thin Waist Dance, he had already slashed her several times. Now that he was charging at her, how could Thin Waist Dance withstand it? No matter how good her equipment was, a thief's HP was still at that level. Jian Nanyu was surprised that he had actually killed Slender Waist Dance. He looked up and saw Mang Mang lying not far away. However, Jian Nanyu knew that he definitely did not have the chance. Qianli was drunk, and was probably going to explode. Jian Nanyu felt that he could smell the flame aura that could kill him instantly. Mana! Jian Nanyu heard Gu Fei shout. The voice was extremely close to him. Jian Nanyu swung his shield behind him with all his might, hoping to use this large area to block Gu Fei's attack again. In the end, when the shield was lifted, Gu Fei was right in front of him. Gu Fei's sword was already aimed at his chin. Jian Nanyu felt his hair stand on end when he was stabbed in such a terrifying place. At that moment, he no longer had any PvP awareness or skills. He reflexively waved his sword and slashed at Gu Fei in front of him. Gu Fei had already floated to the other side, and the sword slashed at Jian Nanyu's neck again. Mang Mang had already gotten up. She pulled out her ideal staff and cast Mana Sacrifice. Jian Nanyu was here for this equipment, so how could he not guess what she was doing? He knew that Gu Fei's next attack would be a spell, and he would definitely be in danger. Jian Nanyu did not want to die in vain. He waved his sword and shield randomly, trying to make it difficult for Gu Fei to get close to him. At the same time, he stubbornly ran toward Mang Mang. Gu Fei's magic power was only a little bit away from casting a dual flame flash. He cast a spell in the vast expanse of land, and in just a short while he was able to replenish it. He immediately chanted, and the dual flame flash slashed towards Jian Nan. As for Jian Nan's random brandishing, they were all flaws in Gu Fei's eyes, and he could directly ignore them. Whoosh! A sharp gust of wind suddenly sounded, and Gu Fei hurriedly stopped in his tracks. The arrow almost streaked past his eyes, and if he didn't stop, he would have been hit in the head. This arrow's advanced control could be said to be extremely precise. If not for Gu Fei's super fast reaction, it would have hit without a doubt. The sudden turn of events made everyone involuntarily look in the direction of the arrow. They saw a person dashing out of the street at high speed. His hands were held horizontally like he was holding a gun. Another arrow had already been released. Gu Fei already knew who this strange archer was. After he hurriedly dodged the arrow, the water-breaking arrow jumped behind a flower bed. Danan, hurry up and run! A loud shout covered the sharp sound of an arrow piercing through the air. This arrow was not from the breaking water arrow. After Gu Fei dodged to the side, he found an archer half exposed at the foot of the wall and shot the arrow at him. Jian Nanyu could tell that it was the voice of his brother Glu. At the same time, he also received the direction for him to retreat in the channel. He no longer hesitated and ran. He even tried to pass through the vast wilderness. Mang Mang wasn't stupid enough to be chopped down like a wooden stake. He quickly dodged and ran away. The movement speed of the warrior and the priest were about the same, but they were slower. Kenenyu did not dare to chase after them anymore, and he ran with all his might. Trying to run? Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and Fireball valiantly ran out to help. Lan Yi's mana had recovered slightly after eating the fruit, so he also wanted to intercept them. As a result, with 3 consecutive pa-pa-pa sounds, each of the 3 had a short arrow pierced through their foreheads, and the 3 of them immediately froze on the spot. Chapter 562. Sakurazuka Tsukasa, Lan Yi, and Fireball had the arrows sticking out of their heads as if they had been tagged. Their faces were filled with fear. Evidently, the sudden and accurate arrow had scared them out of their wits. Hide! Gu Fei yelled at the 3 of them. Water-breaking arrow's shooting skill was similar to Gu Fei's PvP skills. It was an existence that surpassed the average player. Especially with the help of the accuracy of long-range attacks, he was like a fish in water. Seeing the 3 arrows, the people who were shot were still in a daze, as if they didn't know what had happened. The difference in the 3 people's styles was reflected once again. After Gu Fei yelled, Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and Fireball immediately crouched down and scurried around for cover. If there was a mouse hole on the ground, the 2 of them would probably be able to stuff their heads into it. Lonnie was different. He straightened his neck and roared like a warrior. Which son of a bitch dares to stab me in the back? Pa. Another arrow answered him. Who would be courteous to him on the battlefield? Another water-breaking arrow shot out. Lan Yi's forehead didn't just have 1 tag, but 2. So troublesome. Gu Fei originally wanted to chase after Jian Nanyu, but when he saw this brat foolishly wanting to fight one-on-one, he weighed the pros and cons and felt that it was more important to protect his life than to destroy it. After much difficulty, he used instant transmission and floated to Lan Yi's side with a xiao sound. Lan Yi angrily opened his mouth to curse, but then he saw an arrow fly past where he had just been standing. Only then did he know that Gu Fei's kick was to help him. If it wasn't for this, he would have been marked with a 3rd mark on his forehead. With 3 arrows in a row, it would be hard to say if he could keep his life. Even so, it was too difficult for him to say thank you to Gu Fei. Gu Fei didn't care about this. He looked back and saw that Jian Nan was really in a hurry. At this time, he had already run into the alley and turned somewhere. The 2 archers, who had formed a triangular formation, released a few more arrows. They were all rushing towards the boundless thicket. Gu Fei was already prepared for them to attack the vast expanse of grass, so he hurriedly rushed forward and brandished his sword to block them. However, the enemy's main goal was to restrain Gu Fei for a while. There were no longer any of their people around them in the vast wilderness, so what was the point of killing them? Their goal was to obtain equipment, not to kill. Glue and water-breaking arrow didn't bother each other anymore. After 2 feints, they both retreated. At this time, Gu Fei still had the thought of going down to chase after Jian Nanyu. However, when he saw the arrows on the foreheads of the 3 brothers, he felt that it might be the enemy's diversion. It was more appropriate to stay by Mang Mang's side to protect him. Gone. Gone? After a moment of silence, Fireball poked its head out from behind a well by the roadside. It looked around and asked cautiously. Gu Fei didn't dare to make a rash conclusion. He looked around for a while and didn't say anything. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka had just flipped over a pile of wooden barrels. At this time, he also climbed out and hurriedly ran towards the vast expanse. Are you okay? I'm fine. The vast expanse of grass looked at the arrow that was still stuck in Tsubasa Sakuratsuka's forehead and held back a smile. Pull it out. Oh. Tsubasa Sakuratsuka was so nervous that he forgot. Water-breaking arrows' superb archery skills weren't only reflected in the accuracy of the shot. The choice of the position, the timing of the shot, the rhythm of the cover, all of them exuded a sense of professionalism. Although Tsubasa Sakuratsuka was a lurker, he had also played with archery. He deeply felt the terrifying power of this archer. As for Fireball and Lan Yi, they were even more direct. The 2 of them didn't even know where the water-breaking arrow that attacked them was hiding. Luckily, his attack isn't that high, Gu Fei said to Lan Yi. Lan Yi was also pulling out the arrow. When he heard Gu Fei speak, he raised his head and looked at him. What? Do you know who it is? Gu Fei nodded his head. He's called Water-breaking Arrow. Who is it? Tsubasa Sakuratsuka and the vast expanse of grass came over together and asked. A group of people that I have a grudge with. Looks like they've also roped in Jian Nanyu's group. That's right, it's this group of people that rescued Silvermoon. Gu Fei said. Fuck. Lan Yi was an active participant in Baishur City's recent ambush of Silvermoon. He also publicized Silvermoon's disgusting story of abandoning his brother and wife and running away. Ever since Silvermoon was trapped in Baishur City's night camp, this had become the main theme of Lan Yi's gaming life. Now that Silvermoon was suddenly rescued, Lan Yi's heart was at a loss. He secretly cursed these guys who rescued him. If that's the case, then Silvermoon was the one who asked these guys to kill Boundless Mang Mang's staff. His king's sword skill. Lan Yi's mind spun quite quickly, but halfway through his sentence, he seemed to have thought of something and abruptly stopped. Then he stole a glance at Boundless Mang Mang. Seeing that her expression didn't change, he let out a sigh of relief. But in the end he didn't dare say too much. He only fiercely cursed, "This bastard, I have to teach him a lesson." A few days ago he had ambushed Silvermoon for so long, but Lonnie didn't get a chance to kill this guy. He felt very uneasy. How's little dance? Vast Expanse didn't care about Silvermoon at all. Right now he was more concerned about the heroic sacrifice of Slender Waist Dance. Gu Fei sighed. The list of the 5 roaches needs to be updated again. Just as he finished speaking, he heard Slender Waist Dance yelling at the top of her lungs, "Where's that bastard?" "He ran away," everyone said regretfully. "Ran away? You idiot! Why did you let him run away?" Slender Waist Dance's anger was all directed at Gu Fei. Gu Fei said helplessly, "Someone came out to cause trouble, so he ran away." Actually, Gu Fei had already prepared teleportation at that time. Unfortunately, he had used it to save Lan Yi. Otherwise, he might have been able to stop Jian Nanyu. "Where did he go? Why aren't you chasing him?" Slender Waist Dance said angrily. "It's better to be careful. The opponent is very cunning." Gu Fei didn't have the nerve to say that he was afraid that they would all be killed. That would hurt his pride. "I'm so angry." Slender Waist Dance stomped her feet. "Sister Slender Waist, don't be angry. There will be a chance to take revenge in the future. Your clothes are still dirty. Let me help you pat them." Fireball came out of nowhere and stretched out a demonic claw to help Slender Waist Dance slap the footprint left by Jian Nanyu on her chest. In the end, Slender Waist Dance was angry, but she wasn't stupid. She immediately glared at Fireball. Fireball quickly raised his hand and scratched the back of his head. He laughed dryly and said, "Let Brother Zui do it." "Huh?" Slender Waist Dance glared at Gu Fei again. "Fuck." Gu Fei glared at Fireball. This guy was so wretched and still wanted to drag him down. He was asking for it. "Let's leave this place first." In the end, it was Vast Expanse who came over and pulled Slender Waist Dance's hand. He helped her pat her clothes and led them away. In another alleyway, Jian Nanyu ran for his life. He looked back every 3 steps, but he didn't see the black figure. His heart gradually calmed down. He had already turned 17 or 18 corners along the way. Jian Nanyu estimated that no one could catch up to him. He finally slowed down and called out to everyone in the channel. "Has everyone escaped?" "Escape?" Everyone answered, except for the unrivaled Lucky Star who died in battle. Jian Nanyu let out a long sigh. The moment Qianli Drunk appeared, he really thought that they were going to be wiped out again. He had suffered a lot from Qianli Drunk, so he was very afraid. "That's right, who was that archer?" Jian Nanyu's eyes were sharp. Although he only took a quick glance before he left, he could tell that the water-breaking arrow's shooting skill was extraordinary. Whether it was forcing Qianli Drunk back with 1 arrow or hitting 3 people in an instant, it was done very well. "It's a group of people I met when I was following Qianli Drunk. I was just about to ask you to meet them," Glue said. "Who are they?" Jian Nanyu knew that his group's identity wasn't very good, so he tried his best to avoid contact with others and carefully protect his brothers. The archer said his name was Water-Breaking Arrow. "Did he contact you?" Glue said. I think so." After Glue said this, Jian Nanyu really did remember that a player with the ID of Water-Breaking Arrow had sent him a few letters in the past few days. His intentions were very clear in the letters. They wanted to deal with Qianli Drunk and wanted to see if Jian Nanyu could help. Jian Nanyu wouldn't rashly accept business from strangers. Secondly, he couldn't wait to avoid Qianli Drunk, so he didn't care about the letter. He didn't think that he would actually run into them. "Where are they?" Jian Nanyu asked Glue. "Over at White Sand Tower." Glue said. "Oh, then I'll come over." Jian Nanyu was satisfied with this location. Unlike the others, Jian Nanyu and his team rarely chose places like taverns for gatherings. They would often choose a quiet corner. This White Sand Tower was a normal building in White Stone City. There weren't many NPCs around, and there wasn't much space for players to move around. It was the type of secluded place Jian Nanyu liked. "Are we going to?" Huolini and Heishui asked in the chat. "No rush. I'll go take a look first. You guys be on your guard. Be careful not to bump into Qianli drunk. Jiannanyu said. Okay. Lin Mu, you don't have to stay in the priest academy to keep an eye on them. Vas Meng Meng can wait for now. Jiannanyu specially said to one person. Lin Mu was another cleric in Jiannanyu's group of 7. In the plan to kill Vas Meng Meng, he was assigned to stay in the priest academy. After Vas Meng Meng was killed and revived, he would continue to track him. This was also where Jiannanyu and the others were very experienced. Letting the target know that they would continue to chase after them at the revival point was a very troublesome matter. As a result, Jiannanyu and the others usually followed the strategy of keeping an eye on them and not killing them. Sometimes they would even patiently wait for an hour before making a second move. In short, they wouldn't let the opponent have any doubts about the safety of the revival point. It was a pity that this time's mission was full of unexpected problems. It looked like they wouldn't have a chance to make a move in a short period of time, so there was no need to make any arrangements. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.